I think that's important way to have like an intro that everybody's familiar with, and because that's
no, but that's what I'm saying. We don't have to do it right now.
It ties in.
If we did the intro,
consistency.
If we did the intro when we finish, we'll know how to do the intro because we'll know what we talked about. We don't even know
what the intro is yet.
No, but what I'm saying is like, imagine if we stopped talking, or if we finished the podcast, and then we made the intro at the end. We could be like, hey guys, tune in. We talked about this, this, and this.
Mm-hmm. I think.
You know what I'm saying?
Look, with this, we gotta be completely honest, fool.
We suck.
Nah, we don't. No, we don't suck. Look at this. Look at this.
We suck. This guy's not even pointing the mic at you. You're talking. Your microphone's on your forehead.
Fool. Joe Rogan started in like a little makeshift little.
Hey, give the guy a break. He just stepped into his role.
Come on, man.
5 minutes ago.
This dude just scarfed down Casey's chicken candy with no sauce.
Pay attention to where your mic is.
Come on, cuz. I look like fucking.
You didn't see your mic. It's blocking your face.
Look, fool.
Fix your mic.
I don't want. Fool. Look, fool. I want to do a voiceover on this. Don't even look at me.
Fix your mic, way. This fool's mic's like right here.
I look like a pig.
He's like, Pareces pinche payaso, güey. Fix your mic.
Parezco marrano.
El locutor.
El locutor.
Oh, no. There, you know, I look a little buff. Okay, look. You see, if I put my arm like that, like this.
Yeah.
Hold on. I gotta sit up straight, fool.
See, güey.
You know, like my primo, you know, he had a back brace on, fool. You know, I was like, you know, just to make himself, you know, it's your posture sometimes.
Yeah.
You look like shit because motherfuckers don't got posture.
It's because these seats are too comfortable. That's the problem.
Is this recording?
My girl told me. Yeah, we've been recording. We started already.
Yeah. You're on the air.
Yeah.
You're on the air.
We're already started.
All right. So look.
You want to launch it?
Let's launch it.
Producer.
Launch it. Johnny Chingas.
Let's launch it like Elon Musk's rocket. Look, this is the Ozone Lair podcast. Ozone Lair Media. Subscribe, like, all that. Look, we're just some...
That's perfect. That is epic. That's it.
When life knocks you down, dude, you pick yourself back up.
Right. When the Viagra wears off.
Look. Blue Chew.
When the honey pack.
Blue Chew.
When the honey pack don't pack.
Hold on. Okay, look. Let me start this off with a bang. Look. Okay, look. So speaking of honey pack, shout out to Honey Patty because look, my son is gonna be born here in a few weeks, and
congratulations.
And look, shout out to Honey Pack because look, so I walked in the store.
They did the job.
Look, it was at my homeboy's daughter's quince, right?
Oh yeah.
And we left. I was like, you know what? Let me see what the Honey Pack do. I walked in there. The daughter was like, I got something for you, buddy. He pulled out a honey pack out of like it was like a golden box or something. You know, it was like a tube of toothpaste.
Was it the gold or the gray?
No. It had a toothpaste cap on it.
Right. What? And do you eat it? You rub it on, or what do you do with this honey?
You eat it.
You eat it.
Okay.
You never had one?
Nope.
Never had a honey pack.
Well, look. It's a fertility drug.
It's a fertility.
Yeah, it's supposed to. It's like Viagra, pretty much.
Is that right?
Dietary.
Look. That night, she was like, "Who are you?"
Damn.
She was like, I feel like I'm cheating. It's so good. Yeah. So shout out to Honey Pack.
Honey Pack, baby. I guess you're not supposed to take more than 2. Is what they said. But
I don't know.
I took 4 one day and it didn't do shit to me.
Look. This fool busted one out. It had a toothpaste cap on it.
Oh, that was a different one.
Yeah, the real shit. Yeah, I don't know what that was, but look, now I'm blessed with a son.
Yeah, maybe we could get them as sponsors.
Honey Pack for Honey
the
Pack Johnny.
Yeah.
Habibi, sponsor us.
Yeah. No, so listen. There's the first episode with all of us in it. As you guys know, if you guys have stayed tuned, Johnny and Dennis are my co-hosts, but we've never all been in the same room together. I think Dennis and John have minimum interaction, but they know of each other. So we decided that it was time to put one together, and
this is the team.
And this is the team, so everyone knows a little bit about us. Dennis is one from Guatemala. I'm from Chihuahua, and Johnny's from the east side, the hood, Independence, Kansas City.
I'm from my mama's.
From my mama's wound.
We know, about the birds and the bees.
Yeah. So, one of the things I wanted to ask you guys, since we started.
Hey, shout out to all the mamas.
Shout out to all the baby mamas.
Hey.
Mamas.
Producer.
Mamas. Hey. Baby mamas.
Happy Mother's Day. Look, baby girl right here had a C-section already. You know, she's a good girl. You know, she's a good girl. You know, shout out to all the mamas.
Shout out to all the mamas.
Look at this mamas right here. Look at the mamas.
I got a question though. I got a question. You have to make way. You treat her nicely way.
That's what got us here from.
So I wanted to ask you guys, since we started last year around this time is when I moved into this place, and it's when we became Ozone.
Mm-hmm.
What's the biggest highlight you guys have had, whether it's one of our episodes or not? Like, Dennis, what's your highlight so far?
Well, I guess it's just glad to be back on the set. I mean, we were due for this
long time ago.
And so it's great to be here with you guys and just doing this episode. So, but we there's been a lot of guests and this podcast come through, and great conversations. But my personal favorite one was when you guys brought in Handyman. Man, that shit was like spot on. Like, I was like, man, that's probably the one that has the most views.
Yeah, it's definitely the one that has the most engagement. I think people just like the shit talking, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was because me and Handyman were teaming up and jumping on Johnny.
No, but look, from the beginning, like when I said Handyman, like what the fuck?
No.
But at first you don't really understand. But now,
yeah,
like, and then with social media and all that, it's consistent. You have to be in people's face.
Yo, shout out Handyman. Though.
Shout out Handyman.
Shout out Handyman because he went on.
Caballero.
He went on Victor Caballero. He went on to bring about podcasts, and he mentioned us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
he said we gave him his start. That was hard.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. That was hard.
Oh man, for real?
That's what he said.
Yeah.
Hey, I didn't know.
Look, fool. Middle way. Look,
you out here changing lives, Johnny.
No. This it's a collective out here. You know what I'm saying? So look, like, and yeah, that fool's just constantly doing things. You can't even keep up with him. You just always, like, every single day. That's what I'm talking about. I'm like, fool, like, how are you making money? Are you a handyman?
Right.
Like, where's the money coming from? But that's what it is. He's consistent and all that, and then like
he's a worker. He's a worker for sure.
Yeah, and when you put things in people's face, so it's like this. It's like nowadays, like, it could be like a big catastrophe or whatever, and then we forget about it the next day. That's how the world is moving so fast. Like it could be like something crazy, like Trump got the assassination attempt. That lasted like 2 weeks.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Things like that. That's how fast the world is moving.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you want to get. It's kind of like a jump rope effect. It's like jump in. It's gonna keep going.
Keep
going.
Yeah.
And there's no room to like.
Yeah, to
breathe.
The pace of change is definitely coming at a faster rate, and it's getting hard to adjust. Yeah. And it's only gonna get faster because, with AI, man, we just now starting to hear the beginnings of it, and we're starting to see like this. I think it was this morning I was looking at the news, and they were talking about some scams of like people that have gotten some calls, and it sounds just like their, you know, like their daughters or their mothers or whatever it is, right? But this camera's, you know, calling your phone, and it sounds just like your relatives, right? And that's how they're getting you to go get money out of the bank, so you, and all this crazy stuff.
Look, bro, to hit on that, look, you're right, because look, it's crazy that like you have like, you know, somebody close to you, then they're over here like government grants, you know, I'm making all this money, and then they're posting physical like videos of themselves. Like, look, I cashed this check out, thank you to whatever grants, you know, that's weird. Then, but it's people you know,
Yeah.
and they're flashing money out there, you know, on social media, you know, on their stories and all that stuff.
So these are loans? People are doing this with loans?
No, look, bro. Have you seen somebody you know on like Facebook or something on their stories like flashing money?
Yeah.
Like look, I just got cashed out 10 bands,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. I have.
Yeah.
Okay.
We all have.
Yeah.
You don't see it as much anymore.
No, but what I'm saying, how can you ignore that? Look, and then you ask them and then they're like, "Well, what are you talking about?"
Where's my money?
No, that's not where's my money. It's like, what are you talking? Like that didn't happen. I'm like, look, bro, you just flashed 10 bands. You're over here, sign up for this grant and all this stuff. So I'm like, look, are these people possessed or what the hell is going on?
Some people are just transferring money, and it's not necessarily theirs.
No,
but it's
hold on,
the most they've had in their hand.
Look, now you're getting weird on me, cuz you're getting weird on me right now, fool. So look, don't act like that did not happen.
Yeah.
Look, fool. I had my primo over there, fool. You know, he's like, look, I got this $10,000 grant check. On his story. He's flashing all this money. Then I ask him, I'm like, then he's asking me for $20.
Yeah.
Hold on, fool. I'm like, what the hell is going on, fool?
I know. Look, I know what he's talking about, though.
He's taking, you know, these people take over your whole profile.
No, dude, it happened to my daughter. It happened to Emily, and this is a real thing. But they basically were telling her they were gonna give her some money, right? Give her like $3,000, but she needed to make this video and say, hey, you know, go to this page or whatever.
How old is she?
She at the time she was like 15. But so they, you know, she ended up doing that, uploading the video, and then they in fact did that. It took over her phone, her account. She had to create a different account for Instagram, but you know, they were harassing her. And bro, there's some serious scams going on out there. There was another person that I know of where, man, they had her thinking that they had her daughter and getting her to go get money out of the bank to go and meet him somewhere and all this crazy stuff.
Yeah. I recently
so I know what you're talking about because that very situation happened to my daughter.
I just got scammed for $500.
Really?
Yeah. They sent me a text saying that I owed a tow for $6.76, and she saw herself on the camera. She saw herself on the camera. Yeah, they said I owed $6.76, and I travel, so I pass through tolls all the time, and I was like,
okay,
look, but hold on. So I was like, this might be legit because I might actually, I don't ever know when I'm passing tolls, so I went and paid it. You know what I'm saying? But the one thing that was weird to me was that they asked for my security code on the back of my card, and I was sitting there and I was like waiting for it. And I was like, man, that's weird. I've never been asked that before.
Cool.
And then I get another text, and they're like, if you don't pay this, your license will be suspended and all this shit. And that's how they got me, bro.
Look,
because I was like,
bro, they got you.
They got me, bro.
Look, fool, you ain't getting that money back.
No, I already got it back.
You did?
My bank's the shit, bro. They got it back to me within 24 hours.
Shout out the bank.
Shout out to Capital Fed.
Hey.
Yes, sir.
Hey, look, and that's the one thing. Look, get with a secure bank. You know.
Yeah.
Look, I'm with Community America. You know, I mess with them. Yeah,
so am I.
Hey, silent. Fuck the scammers. Hey, that's what we think about the scammers.
She like reggaeton, though.
Bro,
perreo. Okay, look. So
Come on, you
Okay, look.
just chill, mama. Just chill.
Look. She don't fuck with frauds, bro.
She don't fuck with frauds.
She don't fuck with the frauds way. She don't fuck with the frauds. Look. Get with the look. Don't bank with Cash App.
Nah, don't.
You know, I see fools out here. You know, like they don't even got a bank account. You know, like come on now. You know, like your bank account is Cash App. Are you serious? Like, stop.
I think I know the point you're trying to make, though. We live in a pretty crazy world and some pretty interesting times.
Yeah,
where you're seeing shit that you're like, man, am I listening to this right? Like, this is crazy. Like, you know, and so, but that crazy is becoming more and more the norm, right? And so that's why, you know, I try not to subscribe to that. And, you know, I heard this somewhere, and you're going to have to wrap your mind around this one. I can't remember who said it, but essentially what was said is that it was talking about, hang on, I'm losing my train of thought here, but it is no measure of sanity to be subscribed to an insane society.
Message.
It is. I'm gonna say that again. It is no measure of sanity to be subscribed to an insane society.
Message.
Just because everybody's doing it doesn't mean it's normal,
yeah,
or is right, man.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of that. There's a lot of
that's like with
trends that people are subscribing to,
and that's like relationships nowadays. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's a trend to break up. It's a trend not to work through it nowadays. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I feel like, you know, what we're talking about. We live in a scroll type society. It feels like everything's just scrolling by. Just scroll. Next one. Trump got shot. Next reel. You know what I'm saying? It's just like
I'm saying, it's moving too fast.
I think the whole thing was set. By the way, it was staged. I think.
You think Trump was shot?
I think
to win the presidency?
I think it was staged.
Yeah, I thought so too. Hey, chill. You don't tell me.
Hey, look,
this ain't staged right here.
She don't think that was staged. She's like, fuck that.
She's like, fuck Trump.
Do a little beatbox to it. No, all right. She stopped. Okay. All right.
She's like, it ain't given.
Down.
She's good, bro. She's good.
I don't know what she'd be watching at home, but she obviously learned something.
What are you guys teaching her over there, John? What are you guys teaching over there?
The native language.
The language of love.
The language of love. Yeah, but how do we get from handyman to
Johnny started going about what's happening in this world.
That's we're victims of our society. We went from handyman to fucking flexing money on Instagram and not having no money.
Scams and all this crazy stuff you're seeing in AI and change. That's what it was. It was about change.
Yeah, AI. Mm-hmm. How do you guys feel about AI? I know Johnny was talking shit about my images that I've been generating on AI.
Look. When we talk about AI, look, you see how fat I look right now?
Mm-hmm. We could fix you with AI.
No, but look, in real life,
yeah,
we were just talking about that. You know,
we were, before we even got started with the episode today, I was telling them, hey, mad props. He shedding some weight and looking good over here, but this camera is not doing him any justice. Look, go back. See,
I got chichis way.
That is not.
It's not the camera.
I look for it.
It's the comfy couch. It's the couch.
He's got bongas.
He's got bongos. Bongos y congas. Shout out Juan Carlos.
Jodido the hut right here. Look, if I sit up straight, it's the posture. Maybe I don't know.
Bongos is the posture. It's the posture, bro. Look. I got chichis right now. She got chichi.
But look, you're wearing black on black. The couch is black.
Por eso me pongo negro, güey.
Hey, I had to flex on him a little bit, man.
Por eso me pongo negro, güey.
Hey.
Oh, let's run it back.
Get the camera off me.
Like what?
Look. Dennis
look. Dennis over here flexing
what you want me to do,
the
man?
biceps.
Hey,
look, before he pulled up, he got a pump in. Look, hold on, go back to this. Look, give him a little pump. Oh, you got to pump in before he came.
Look, put the camera on me. Look. She could see herself.
Oh, she about the camera, man.
She's about the camera,
dude.
Not even that.
You may have
La mascota de Ozone Lair Media. Doña Ruby.
Doña Ruby. Hey, she's the one from Men in Black, bro.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh shoot, I forgot.
Bro,
What about sugar food?
She's fascinated with herself.
She
Look at
is.
her.
Look, she's like,
Mira.
who is that over there?
Yeah. She didn't know she looked that good.
Well,
Hey, look.
she didn't know it was her.
Look, let me see if anyone remembers this. Like, sí,
No.
Grupo Marrano.
Oh, I thought you were talking to Eugenio Derbez.
Well, look, both. But who remembers Grupo Marrano for porno corridos?
No, I don't remember.
I cannot. Yeah.
We cannot relate.
Look, no, it was a thing. It was a thing.
I'm gonna tell you on it.
Look.
Enlighten us.
Look. It's not an enlightenment. It was just something that happened.
Yeah.
We were in high school. Yeah, it was. There was a thing called porno corridos.
Porno corridos?
Yeah.
Is this true, Rick?
I've never heard him.
Okay.
Google it.
Is that the one where they was telling me about the Se Me Paro?
No.
No?
It's a whole different genre, fool. Whole different genre, fool. So look. It died out. It was a trend for a little bit, you know, in high school. Yeah, but it was called Grupo Marrano, fool. So that there was a like the beginning of the album that there was like, it was like the dude was calling the girl on the phone, and then like he didn't say nothing. He was like, sí, no. Ay. Then the girl's like, ay, marrano, qué cochino. And then it's like, yeah. So look, shout out to
Porno corridos
and Grupo Marrano. There you go.
Man,
Check it out.
We're gonna have to start fact checking, dude. How could we get the production supervisor?
We have a fact check. We have a fact check mark. You know, a watermark. We have a fact check watermark. So go ahead and clip that, and then put the fact check watermark on it.
Blame it on the production supervisor.
Se te está bajando, güey. The honey pack.
Se me está bajando because look, güey.
Llevan 2 veces que se te baja, güey.
Mira, güey. I'm talking about porno corridos y se me bajó.
We're gonna have to get some of that honey you guys are talking about.
Yeah, you need a honey pack, güey.
Nah, I don't need a honey pack.
Se acabó the honey pack, güey.
I think that microphone needs a honey pack.
You gotta stop hitting the mic, güey. If you don't hit it, talk with your speech, way, not your hands.
I didn't touch the mic.
You was like this, way, pop, karate chop that shit, way.
But I don't know. I guess going back to your original question.
No, hold on. What was the original question?
The
highlight.
Highlight. I think when Coach KC came through here and we talked about inner game, that was.
Yeah.
Okay.
I definitely like that episode, and shout out to Coach KC.
Yeah.
But there's been a lot of good moments here, man.
For you though, which one was like? What would you say yours was? Is the handyman?
Yeah, my favorite one is definitely
Handyman.
Yeah.
Because you weren't on that one, but you watched that one.
I did.
Yeah.
I watched the entire thing.
Yeah.
I was rolling.
That's the thing.
You know what? My favorite moment is.
What's your favorite moment?
This moment. Live in the moment. Clip that.
No,
Yeah, clip that. No. This is the best moment in the moment.
Yeah.
But all right, so I got a question for you, Rick. Like, take us back, because we're here doing this Ozone Lair thing, but it started before us, man. So like with you and George, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think briefly like kind of cover that in other episodes, but like what can you tell us about that?
So,
damn, Rick, you breathing hella hard on that mic, fool.
Yeah, I know. It's because I'm over here.
You heard that?
My nose is real close.
I was gonna point that out.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
You got sleep apnea, what?
No.
Okay.
I'm too close to the mic.
Well, have you ever got checked out for sleep apnea?
No.
Well, take care of your health.
Take care of it.
Okay.
He got
My bad.
diagnosed on the podcast.
I got diagnosed on the podcast by Dr. Johnny Chingo.
Ricky, have you ever taken Ozempic?
No, the podcast started because me and George used to just have random deep ass conversations, and I had two microphones like these, two boom stands sitting right next to each other, and one day we had one of these conversations with the mics on, and that's what was like, dude, if we would have recorded that conversation, that would have been a dope conversation for like a podcast situation, and that's what started it. But George was George passed away in 2023, by the way. People don't know that. George was very private, and he wasn't like the type of person that liked to put out, like he didn't even post very much. You know what I'm saying? And I remember telling him like, bro, are you sure you could do this? Like, because we're going to be talking about personal life stuff. And I was like, I was like, I can't, if we're not going to put it out, there's no point of recording it, you know? And
this was before podcasting was even a thing.
This is when Joe Rogan was like the only thing people really knew about, you know? This is back in like 2000.
How'd you meet George though, bro? How did the friendship, start?
I met George. The way I met George was the craziest way anyone. It was a completely random. I was in Lawrence.
Tinder.
Nah,
You weren't even around at that time.
I was.
Grindr?
Yeah, I was in Lawrence.
Grinder.
I was in Lawrence.
My bad.
At a party that I was brought to by a friend of mine. Shout out Miguel. Miguel picked me up, took me to Lawrence to a party, and when we got there, his girl called him, right? And so he's like, "Hey, bro, I gotta go pick up my girl. I'll be right back." What the fuck?
Look, my bad. Wait, look, RP George. Respect. Hold on, fool. Look, wait.
What the fuck?
No, it's because he saw me laughing my ass off over here.
Let's reset real quick.
Hey, this
Please,
production
please.
supervisor, please.
Tres veces se te cayó.
Mira, güey. Tres leches. I don't know.
Ya se te
Look, wait.
Ya se
Hold
te cayó
on.
tres veces.
Let's reset, fool.
All right.
My bad.
So Lawrence, the call.
Yeah, so
Run that back way. My bad, way.
Let him think. Let him think.
Yeah, fool. My bad. Because that grinder comment was crazy.
All right. Let him think. Just
you're the one that made it.
I know.
You're laughing at your own comment.
No.
Where everyone else is moving on. It's literally just you.
He got a laugh attack. Yeah, it's a production supervisor here
Real,
too.
yeah.
Okay.
It's because when you said grinder, I started.
Okay, look. Okay.
Angel don't know nothing about Grindr.
Yes,
bro.
he did.
No, he don't.
Yeah, I do.
What do you know about Grindr?
All I know is that it's a gay app.
Never mind.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
I didn't even know that.
Wow.
Our minds are more polluted.
Yeah, dude.
Or
Look.
Their minds are more.
BetterHelp.com.
Yeah.
You know? You gotta. I don't know.
How do you know about Grindr?
Fool,
Whoa.
because of the internet.
That's a heavy pack question.
That's a-
The internet.
you sure?
I want to protect. I want to protect. My son's coming up in the world. I want to protect him from
that's-
things like Grindr.
Do you have a profile?
No,
Okay.
I want to protect him from those entities.
Is that where Chingas comes from?
No,
That's Chingas están dado, güey.
look.
What is this podcast about?
Look,
If anyone's on Grindr, look this nigga up. Let us know if he's on there.
go ahead.
This is why we need the production supervisor to do fact checks right on the spot.
Look,
Go on Grindr and check for Johnny.
Yeah.
look. Look,
Hey, Johnny, what are you doing?
big brown bear looking for love.
Yeah, for sure, man.
La verga, güey. Mira, güey, you know, I got a kid on the way. You know, I got a girl. So look,
You know about Grinder?
Sunshine from the brown side of town, or what?
that was crazy. That was nuts.
Man, well, you mentioned it, man.
Yeah.
No, fool. Sunshine from the brown side of town is nuts. That's crazy. That's a crazy quote.
That's your fucking bio, way on Grindr.
Mira, I'm taking
From where?
those apps were deleted.
Shit, man. See, this
Google
is
history search
only
clear
only in the ozone layer.
of all time.
Only on the ozone layer.
You know. Don't just delete it for 3 months. Put all of all time. Delete all the content of all time. Okay. So yeah. So fuck Grindr. You know. Look. Yeah. It's our podcast. Yeah. You know. If you're gay, but we're not gay here. Okay. Look. Well. Look, let's hit the reset button because we're getting far down in the rabbit hole. No pun intended.
There's a lot.
Come on, boy. Stop with the gay shit.
I'm trying, but you can't.
You trying to emasculate me?
You started.
You trying to emasculate me, Sway?
You put it on the plate.
You want to emasculate me, Sway?
You put it on the plate, way. No, but I
You want to emasculate me, Sway?
Otra vez. Wah, wah, wah.
Look what they did to Kanye. He sucked his own cousin's dick.
Wait.
Yeah.
Hey.
What?
Let's go there. Yeah.
No, wait,
If we want to go to a trending topic, yeah.
You can't say that and not elaborate.
He
on
did
it.
do. He made a whole song about it.
What?
Yes, cousins.
Oh my god.
Not the real Kanye.
Wait, there's gonna be a point where ya no se te va a parar, güey.
Mira, way.
El micrófono is
I got a kid already, fool. I'm good.
Okay, well, are we going in? What are we going into, way?
Look.
Where are we going?
RP George, fool. Look, this is for you, brother. Because look, I know he would enjoy this.
He would be cracking up right now.
Yeah. So look,
would he? I didn't know. I didn't know
hold
George
on.
enough.
Let's hit the reset button because we don't know George enough. You know,
That's what we're trying to go
with
back
all
to.
the gay talk. Come on, man, stop, fool, stop.
Oh look,
We don't need
production supervisor. You gotta catch this.
look.
Well, I can't because
That's
sorry.
what the devil is trying to do. Put the gay shit in. Just stop it. Just hit the reset button. Fool. Yeah. Let's stop. Oh, okay, back to George. Okay, go back from the beginning. Let's hit the reset. Look, act like
you never
that
said
never happened.
act
Okay,
like
look.
Act like you never said grinders and laughed your ass off while I was telling the story.
Look,
that was me. I laughed.
there might be, Men in Black, the little psh. Okay, everybody got flashed with that.
Okay, all right.
Act like that never happened, please.
All right.
Please cut like
You know, there's no
6 minutes of that shit out.
There's
Please,
no cutting out on the set.
look,
There's no cutting out on the
please,
set.
please.
There's no cutting out, way.
Okay, look.
That's how you learn.
That's how you learn.
Hit the reset button, porfa.
That's how you learn.
Okay,
cuz.
back to Ricky. Ricky, what's up?
So the
R.I.P. George.
R.I.P. George. Yeah, I met George. I met George at a party where both
At
of
a
us.
Diddy party? Okay, fool. Look. Stop. Look, fool. You're feeding me shit. Look, fool. I can't help it. I'm not normal.
Now we do have to check if he has.
Yeah,
Oh shit.
it was a party in Lawrence Way.
All right. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Stop.
And-
Okay.
And then
Let's
what-
hit the reset button one more time, please.
All right.
Okay. Look, fool. Don't do that shit, fool.
Okay. All right. No more.
Pause.
Do what?
Pause. Major pause. Like with the big ass fucking reset this shit, fool.
Because-
Stop. I'm not here no more. Mira, way. Es el diablo, way.
Es el diablo, way.
Okay, look, fool. We're gonna have to like fucking.
All Diosito way. Telling you shut
Okay,
the
look.
fuck up.
Okay.
Shut the
That's George's like, man, fool.
fuck. He's trying to take the mic from me, bro.
He is. Okay,
He's like, shut this nigga off. How do you turn his mic off?
look where the mic is at.
Exactly, but you don't even know where the mic's supposed to be at. Ahí, way.
Fool, mira, way.
Let the
Mira.
panza talk, bro.
Mira, way.
Here, put the mic.
Let me stand there.
Put the
Because
camera.
look, fool. I don't look that fat when I'm.
Damn.
Oh yeah, look, I look bigger, fool. So, okay, look, fool.
Espérate, güey, espérate.
Hey,
Hang on.
fix that
Yeah,
shit,
there we go.
man.
There we
Come on,
go.
fool.
Okay.
I look like a damn.
Dennis.
What up?
It's too much now.
Like how Gabriel Iglesias says, there's a size for damn.
Don't compare me to Gabriel Iglesias.
Oh, he's funny though.
I'm not trying to be funny, fool.
I think he just called you. I think he
look,
just
fool,
called you fluffy.
Don't hit it. Stop
this,
hitting it.
This is a serious podcast.
Yeah.
We're talking about life, and real life issues. So look,
Just a little bit of everything.
no more funny business way.
All right.
Hit the reset button. Back to George.
Back to George.
Mr. George. Johnny's fucking not following the rules.
You're putting the camera back on me. Wait, come
No.
on, cuz.
Nah, bro. Anyways, George, we met George at a party, Ray, and I didn't know that he was fucking African. And at the time, he was working on his citizenship, and we related to each other in terms of being both illegal. And that was weird for me to have a black friend that was illegal.
Where's he from?
Africa, from Liberia. And he couldn't drive. He didn't have a license. I couldn't drive because I didn't have a license. And that was the first time that I was like, bro, you're like one of my Hispanic friends. Like, we both are here illegally. That's
How
fucking.
do you migrate illegally from Africa?
I mean,
On the boat?
I don't think
On the
that.
boat?
I don't think that.
On a boat?
I don't think that we heard you the first time, John. I don't
On a
think.
boat.
I don't think that the.
You migrate illegally on a boat.
I don't think that the first time, or I don't think that their process is the same as ours.
They get in with the visa and probably just overstay.
Oh, some like that. And I don't know if they got. I don't know if it's easier or not for them. You know what I mean? But I know that he went through it for a while. I went through it for a while, and the reason why the whole ozone thing was a thing was because at one point we were both illegal, and we took the illegal alien and ran with it. You know what I'm saying? And it was always like,
Oh, okay.
it was always that's what it was. You know what I'm saying? And the ozone later came on because we would just get hella high, bro. We'd smoke and we have these deep ass mystical conversations sometimes, and it just felt like we were not in that time zone anymore. Because when we had that conversation, we were 4 hours in, and
On my best way.
we were 4 hours in, and it felt like an hour.
Wow.
But it was 4 hours. You know what I'm saying?
It does happen that way here in that set.
It does. It does. When, like, with Skrilly, that happened to us because that's one of the longest episodes I have is when one with Skrilly. Mm-hmm. Because there was a lot of things that, that he's in weird environments sometimes. Not weird, but like crazy environments. So it's like when he explains some of the stuff that he's seen and the things that he's been through recording videos and all that shit, like the time flew. Because I'm like, damn, you saw that or you saw this or you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
it just flies by when you're having like a learning conversation or spiritual stuff and shit like that.
So I see. I guess kind of where the name came from, right? And just kind of being like in the zone and like kind of like just being in the zone, and then you guys just like talking about some like deep stuff, and that's essentially
that's the thing about George. With George, the intention when we first started wasn't a comedic thing. It was me and George were always serious. There was nothing about comedy that was involved with me and George. It was always about growth and mental and emotional strength. You know what I'm saying? And when and that was the thing that he provided for me as a friend, that he didn't give me no slack at all, emotionally and spiritually. Even when we were fucking shit-faced drunk.
I feel like you're gaslighting me with.
I'm not. I'm not. Even when we were shit-faced drunk, bro, we always made sure that we were consciously making choices. And that's the reason I was able to step into any place with him and not feel scared, because I knew that regardless of the situation, me and him, we were gonna come together and we're gonna be like, what's the best thing to do right now? Are we gonna confront this or do we need to go? You know what I'm saying? We wouldn't make a move without each other, and that's what made me trust him to another level, because I'm like, it was like a brother.
How far did you guys go back? Like when did you meet him?
2008.
Okay,
right out of high school. So when Freddie left, and the group broke up, I was like trying to figure out what I was going to do now. And that's kind of why I was hanging out with Miguel, because Freddie was the one that took me to the parties. And then Miguel came in right after Freddie, and Miguel didn't, like, he was just kind of he was a guy that kind of hung out on his own too, and he would invite me here and there to places. So I was just chilling with him, and like I ended up meeting George at a party with Miguel. You know what I'm saying? And just so happened that they were friends too, and he ended up bringing George. So he brought us both to the same party separately. You know what I'm saying? And that was like the crazy thing. It was almost like it was just set up. You know what I'm saying? But from the beginning, the funny part is that we were sitting on the couch like this, on the L couch. I was sitting on this side, and George was sitting on the other side. He didn't know nobody there. I didn't know nobody there either. And there was
two perfect strangers.
And there was a white chick sitting right in the middle on the L couch. And me and George just looked at each other, and we both started laughing because we both were like, we're probably scaring the shit out of this girl. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I remember going outside, and he went outside. And at the time, I used to smoke blacks. I walked outside to smoke my black. And he walked out there, and he looked at me. He's like, you smoke blacks, bro? And I was like, yeah. I was like, you want to hit that? And we were just sitting there talking. And ever since then, like, we just linked in, bro. And
locked in.
Yeah, we locked in or whatever. And like I said, bro, the level of I don't know, bro. Like, now that he's gone and passed away, like, sometimes I feel like maybe he knew way earlier than I even knew about, and maybe that's the reason he moved the way he moved. Because he was a calculated person. Like, he moved calculated. You know what I'm saying? And anytime, and sometimes I was hard for me to trust because I'm like, what are you trying to do? Like, what? Just tell me what you want. Don't lead me to it. Just tell me what you want. I'll see if I can do it or not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah, like, once he passed away, that's when I was thinking, like, did he know? Like, how long did he know? And then, you know, and then I still don't know how he passed away. I don't know how it was. I don't know if it was, you know, suicide, or if he was sick, or if it was, you know, something else.
Let me ask you something. Had you not met George, would the ozone layer exist?
I don't think so. I think I would have still been making music. Because I didn't, for one, George gave me, because he listened and he took my advice, he gave me the confidence to know that I wasn't dumb. Like, because I've always felt like I was kind of overreacting in everything when I was growing up younger, because I was always a quiet one, the one that stayed back. And I felt like I was just like I was overreacting, or I was just overprotected. And I thought this way because my parents overprotected me. But the older I got, and I started seeing all the people go their different ways, and, you know, people started falling into prison and shit like that, I started learning that I was just making wiser choices. But George was always there to tell me that I was different from everyone else. You know what I'm saying? Because he was around all these other cats that were going the wrong direction. And he told me that he would hang out with me because I influenced him to do better because of the choices that I made. And I made him feel like he could make the same choices without being judged by not being the way that everyone else wants him to be. You know what I'm saying? Because it's so easy to fall into, like, the influence of your crew.
Right.
You know, and when you're from where he's from, and, you know, I grew up with this fool. And
so you and Johnny go back. You and Johnny go back, bro. Hey, you and Johnny go back even farther. Further
than George. I met Johnny like in 8th grade. I met George after I graduated high school.
So what year would that been?
So I met George in 2009 or 8. I met Johnny like in 2006.
Oh, okay.
About 2006. When did you guys move down here?
I graduated in
No, but when did you move out here south? B-Town.
Don't call it B-Town.
Was it 2006? I don't want to give out where.
Well, 2000 or 4 years, high school. Yeah, 2006.
2006. So I met,
I graduated in 06. So it was like.
Yeah, so 2000, so I've known John since 2006.
No. I graduated in 06.
So then before that, because you were here 4 years.
Hey, bro, and some of the early episodes was with Johnny. También, ¿verdad? You were in the first one.
The first official episode was with Johnny. The first episode recorded was with George. I have an episode with George. But the first episode, I have 2 episodes with George. The first episode,
but you never put those out.
The first episode with George, got demolished. Like it just disappeared in thin air.
How?
We did 2 grams of mushrooms and smoked a blunt, and we had the craziest conversation, bro. The craziest.
Where did it go? You don't have the footage?
The hard drive, like something. I think I ran out of space on the drive, and the program didn't let us know. It didn't crash, and when I pressed stop, it just glitched out.
What about the second one?
The second one was with me. It was me, George, Andy, and Mo, and I have that one.
Okay.
I have that one, but I don't like that one because I don't think that the George I got that night was the George that I know, because he was already going, like I think he already knew something was wrong, and he was hanging out. He was hanging out with Andy, which is he's not a bad influence. He's actually a good friend of mine too, but I noticed that he was like feeling himself a different way that I wasn't used to. And that night, like I was standoffish with him because I'm like, bro, you're acting weird. Like you're not acting like you act around me. You're acting like you've been hanging out with new people. You know what I'm saying? And now you're trying to show me that you're new. You know what I mean? Like I could tell that he was going through something during that. And but that's the only one that I have recorded of.
I see.
And I remember a few months before he passed away, I remember him telling me to delete everything that I had of him. Told me delete everything. I don't want you to have anything of mine. Nothing. No pictures.
Were you guys beefing or something?
No. He just did. He was going into. He's always been spiritual.
Have you talked to his family or nothing?
I talked to his brother and his. I keep up with his baby mama because of his daughter.
So you say he migrated here? I mean, so does he have family here in the States, or
he has his mom's here, his brother's here.
So
sisters.
I mean, have you met his mom?
I met his mom once. George never brought me around his mom. He brought me around his mom once. I met her once, but he was very, like I told you, he was very private. Like he loved being around us, but he didn't like bringing. He was, I don't know, bro. Like it was the fact that he let me meet his mom, the fact that he let me meet his brother, the fact that I know them was a big deal for him because I know how private he is.
But still, his passing is still a mystery. You being that close to him, like it's crazy.
To me, it is because I don't believe what some people believe. You know what I'm saying? And it's just too gray to be like, yeah, that's what it was. It's just too gray.
So,
and the thing about Liberia is they don't do autopsies, and they didn't.
So did he pass away here in the States, or
he passed away in Liberia?
So when did he leave over there?
He left he passed away in 2023. He passed away in when was it? I think it was like.
Did he tell you why he went back out there?
No, he didn't tell nobody. He didn't even tell his daughter. The last time I saw George, it was after Mario's wedding. George was supposed to be in that wedding, but he canceled the wedding, and I got mad because I wouldn't be friends with nobody in that wedding if it wasn't for George. I met everyone in that wedding through George, and when he canceled the day that we did the fitting, I got mad and I was like, George just came to my house without calling me.
He wasn't even in the actual wedding.
No, and I went to his.
And you still went.
And I went to his house that day that he canceled, and I just showed up. I didn't even tell him I was coming. I just showed up, saw his car that was there, and he answered the door, and I could tell that he wasn't happy to see me because he knew what I was there for. And I remember asking him, I was like, "Look, bro, I just want to know why." I was like, because this is big for me, and Mario's your homie. Like you guys have been homies way before me. This is big for me. I just want to know why you're canceling. Like, why can't you be in here?
You know what, fool?
And I was like, and I'm gonna respect it. I was like, I'm gonna respect it.
I got a surprise for you, fool.
Yeah.
George, come out.
Yeah.
I'm not good. It didn't work, fool. I tried to we got George here in the building. Come on, George. Answer all these questions. Nah.
He's gonna invoke him from the other side.
Yeah. He would have called me before he called you, bro. It wouldn't matter how surprised that is.
You knew George, right?
No.
No?
You met him once. Very vaguely.
Yeah.
Vaguely.
Because I remember like whenever I'd go over, he like the couple times I did see him. Because you even told me, he's like kind of like
he was very protective.
Yeah,
I met him a few times. And the one thing I can remember about George, just in briefly what I've met of him, was like he was an obviously gifted individual, and I'm not talking about just like his mentality, but like genetics, crazy, bro. Did you seen his video on YouTube when he's like
slamming,
plowing through this group of
when I met George, he already had he was kind of famous because of that video,
right?
Because he plowed through the whole defensive line, and people thought that they thought that he was gonna go to the NFL, So when I met George, I didn't know none of this. Like we would go to places and be like, "Hey, you George Hoff?" The reason that my homie Andy knows George is because of that video.
That is crazy.
You know what I'm saying? And like I was like, "Bro, who the hell are you?" And they're like, "Oh, I just got this little fan because I used to
video here.
I used to play football."
Insert the video here. Right? Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is my homie George back in 2000. I don't know when, 2006 or 7, high school, Grandview. Here we go. Okay, we can go. I would just pause it. I'll throw it in there. But yeah,
but look, this
he got a little football.
This episode here, and everything, dedicated to to the homie, man. Real talk, because look, if he was right here sitting next to us, like
he is,
he is. He's right here,
He's always here.
Yeah, and
like Ricky said, we wouldn't even be here having this conversation had he not met him. So
George George wanted to write a book. I remember.
Did he ever say the title or
no? But listen, this is the reason. So this is the reason why my idea of a podcast came about, because I was going to do this thing for the both of us. It was going to be for me to be able to do what I want to do with the podcast, but I was also going to help him piece together his book. Because I was like, if I can't write it for him, but I can give him somewhere where he can record these conversations and then go back and write what he wants to write. You know what I'm saying? So that one of the things that sparked the idea of recording conversations was when he told me that he wanted to write a book. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was like a very good idea for him, because I'm like, bro, you're a very like wise dude.
My pops, he actually, he wrote a book.
Yeah.
Your pops?
Yeah.
Oh shit. What's the name of it?
It's never been published.
Wow.
Yeah, but he wrote the book, and it's all there. Like I think my tia has like the whole like the full thing of it, but yeah, it's all together. Yeah, and one day, in honor of him, I'd like to get it published. But yeah, I think it's important, just like, yeah, I mean, as manager, just as people, just write down your thoughts and stuff like that. Yeah, it's like, 100%. When they say like, oh, like a diary, no, but yeah, because like moments come,
they do
here,
man.
there, it's like life is just like a blink of an eye, it's like you don't remember things, but when you write things down, like physically write them down, like not on your phone, but like actually write it down.
Mm-hmm.
Like
I journal.
It's different.
I journal.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
I do. I still do. And I think you're right. It's important to capture it, because like the way I look at it, it's like you're writing you're writing to your future self. Yeah. That's kind of how I've viewed journaling and just trying to capture, because
that's how I look at the podcast.
Yeah,
that's how I look at the podcast, because I'm like, sometimes I go back and watch episodes and I'm like, damn, I said that.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy, ain't it?
Yeah,
because sometimes you wonder like where it's coming from, because I'm like, I can't possibly be that elaborate. Sometimes I feel like I'm just channeling. Like, like it's not even coming from me.
Exactly. And I was just going to say that. I was like, sometimes it's just the conversation that opens up this door, and then this thought or idea comes through and you speak it, But it's like something that you don't. It wouldn't even have triggered it if you weren't there at that time speaking about what you're speaking.
Yeah,
about.
because on my phone, like every phone I get, like I have this certain app, that I download, like this notes app, and like I got stuff that I've written like since like 2001. So
was it like just random thoughts?
Random thoughts. Verses.
You want to hear some crazy stuff?
Just weird. Yeah, but I keep that. It's linked to email. So every phone I get, like it's all there.
That's how that's what I have in my Apple Notes too.
Yeah.
You want to hear some crazy stuff that I recently? I mean, this has been recent. I found this notebook in my stash of books, and I started, just kind of going through it because I want to write something down. And this yellow envelope came out flying from it, and it's sealed, right? And it's got my name on it, and it says, "Open it up, February 29th, 2028." So, and it's my writing, and I have no recollection of writing that. It's like a note I wrote to my future self to open, and I looked it up, and it must have been really thought out because that in 2028 is a leap year, and so February 29, 2028 is a leap year, and you only have that every 4 years.
Yeah,
and so I was getting ready to open it because I'm like, what did I write? But then I'm like, nah, you know what? I'm gonna honor my past self.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna wait to
2029
to February 28, 2028.
Okay, so you still got a few years.
I got a couple years to go.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I'm dying to open what the hell I wrote to myself.
Yeah.
No, but that takes a lot too. Because they say curiosity killed the cat. So but that's like restraint too. Like damn, I want to open it now, but you just left it alone.
Yeah, no, and but it's crazy because I'm like,
listen. Out of both of us, Dennis has the strongest discipline.
Well, yeah,
probably put together too.
Yeah,
this dude has gone into journeys of fucking what's that? What was that shit called? And I know you're gonna laugh, John, because this is something that you probably never heard of. But what was it called? Sexual transmutation.
Yeah.
That's wild.
And
3 months.
You know
3
what that
months.
is?
No.
Do you know what that is?
Look, hold on, fool.
Do you know what that is?
Look, wait.
There's not a pause moment either.
Look, wait, please.
No way.
Elaborate what it is.
Okay, it's 2025. I thought I heard it all.
I'm gonna put you
sexual transmutation.
Transmutation.
Okay, look, honestly, okay. So
I'm gonna put you on.
Okay, look. In Chinga's mind, what I think the definition of sexual transmutation is?
What do you think it is?
It's something super gay, like two dicks fucking each other with a foreskin or something.
Oh
yeah.
My God. Yeah, that's totally not it.
You got a gay man. You got a gay ass mind.
I'm not into that, guys.
Look, fool. I didn't say. I'm just saying that. Like, look, please educate me because like the internet is sick. And they're poisoning our youth, and they're poisoning my mind as well. And I need I need to go into the Amazon and just get on a retreat, on an ayahuasca retreat, all that shit.
I'll take you.
We need to reset all that because the internet is fucking us up, and I blame it on Bill Gates.
All right.
And Microsoft.
Yeah, no, it's Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, chapter 9. Sexual transmutation is the name of the chapter, and it's basically retention. It talks about just really retaining your masculine energy and not wasting your seed. And actually, when you do it and you channel that energy,
so that means like don't bust a nut.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay,
that's all it is. Yeah, it's just a different.
In layman terms, it means like
Thank you for translating.
Okay, translation is
Thank you for translating to the most basic English.
sexual retention means hold off on the nut and then to your balls just turn blue.
I never knew why.
Blue in the face.
What's the reason they say transmutation? Like,
I don't know. I don't know where the word comes from, but I know the meaning of it.
Is that a medical term though?
I don't think it's a medical term. Let
me see. What does transmutation mean?
Transmutation, I think is channeling. I think it's just transforming something.
Transmutation food is like you're transferring something.
Transforming something into something else. Basically, it's
okay. So holding your nut. What are you transforming?
What the fuck?
The energy into creative energy. That's what it is.
You know what that is? That's kinetic energy. You know, because you hold your nut in for so long, you're gonna just kind of like explode like a fire hydrant.
That could happen. But that's essentially what it is.
It says the action.
It makes sense. Well, I'm not a doctor, but
it says the action of changing or the state of being changed into another form.
Right. There we go. Yeah.
Look, fool. Look, you hold your nut in that long, fool. It's gonna be like a kamehameha, or like a, you can you know it's like it'd be like it's gonna be a kamehameha way. You know you hold your nut in that long, fool.
So,
you could Super Saiyan dick.
Johnny,
you're just gonna like look, fool.
What's the longest?
The longest what?
You've gone without busting a nut.
Busting a nut?
Yeah.
Busting or busting a nut?
What's the difference?
Busting a nut or busting a nut?
What's the difference?
There's no difference, fool. I mean, come on, fool. You know, I'm fucking with your mind, fool. Because I'm giving I'm giving me time to think, fool. You can't think straight, fool, without busting a nut.
So trying to come up with a lie.
Look, fool. Busting a nut keeps you out of trouble.
What's your longest?
Look, for all the kids out there, all the youth.
What's the longest?
Maybe not for the kid.
Look, yes, for the kid, because busting a nut will keep you out of trouble. Look, you think you're gonna make a big mistake in your life. You bust a nut, and then your whole mind changes. You're like, look, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
It's not worth it anymore. You know, you got all that built up inside. Look, it's like, fuck it, I busted a nut.
Depends on where you busted.
Look, you can bust it wherever you feel free. It's a free country. No, this is America. We can bust the nut wherever we want. So look, bust a nut, un taco, un hoagie, and then go to sleep. That's it. Yeah. You know. She calls you later at night. Look,
so
fucker. Look.
With that being said,
bust a nut will keep you out of trouble.
John, don't
look.
Spend the night.
Do you like paying child support? Are you on child support, sir? Are you on child support, sir?
Me?
Yes.
Yeah, you gonna be.
Are you on child support, sir?
Not anymore.
Look, bust a nut and it'll keep you off child support, cuz.
Yeah.
Look. That's what I'm saying. So sexual retreat or whatever, or I don't know.
Transmutation.
No, mama's wait. Look, fool.
Yeah, I know.
Look.
Yeah. All right.
It makes sense now, fool. I know what you're getting at, fool.
Have you done it before?
No,
okay,
I can't do it, fool, because you make mistakes.
Discipline. You were thinking about like discipline, right? So
discipline is busting enough, fool, because if you don't have discipline, you're gonna fuck the wrong bitch, and then you're gonna be on child support.
No, that's not having discipline. Because discipline comes further than busting a nut.
Bust your nut.
That's shallow.
And keep yourself out of trouble.
That's shallow. That's a shallow fix.
Look.
That's a shallow fix.
We are animals, way.
Yeah.
We are animals, fool, at the end of the day. Fool. Look, we are here to reproduce at the end of the day.
So let me put you on the
So John adds the non-spiritual side.
I'm spiritual.
Side to the ozone.
Let's touch on that because you chose us. So like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you chose us.
Look,
so you knew you were bringing two different elements.
Yeah.
To
I'm not
the
a monk.
podcast.
I'm not a monk.
No,
there's
air,
I'm not a monk, fool.
Water,
you're not gonna have
ground.
me. You're not gonna have me in a cave. You're not gonna have me in a cave, all ashy and shit, todo seco, without busting a nut. Come on, fool.
I said Lair.
Look, fool. The monks
with 3 guys.
Look,
chill, bro.
Look, fool.
Chill, bro.
Look, I love women, way. You know, all shapes and all kinds of colors, all kinds of like, you know, yeah. I am a straight male. You know You know?
Yeah.
Look. How many times do guys think about like busting a nut on a daily?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Look, fool, you're building up that aggression sometimes. You
Okay.
know? And look, and yeah, it does make sense because look, like you're like, you know, like trying to like, it's like some spiritual thing, you know, because you know what it is. Really, it's like a discipline.
It's really not a spiritual. It's actually more like
self-discipline.
It's stoic. Essentially,
Self-discipline. Look.
So look. This is John.
Look up a stoic, please.
We got John over here.
Look up a stoic,
Hold on.
please.
Hold on. I want to hear him.
Look up a stoic, please.
Look up stoic.
You know what stoic means?
Por favor, mira.
Just it's a
Johnny, you need to relax, man.
Stoic.
Look. I need to bust in that right now, fool. Look, I got all this aggression, fool. Come on, fool.
Stoic is a person who can endure pain or hardship without showing
it
their
hurts
feelings
when you
or
don't bust a
compliment.
nut.
You're not a stoic.
You know what
then.
blue balls means?
You're not a stoic then.
I'm not a stoic, fool.
Johnny, how about...
Look, fool, I'm a Mexican man. We are the horniest.
Who needs discipline?
Yes. Mira, wait. Mira, your tío's like, mira esa pinche chichona nalgona.
That's not an excuse to be that way.
Fool, look, fool, it's in our DNA.
No, it's not. It is not. You choose to have it in your DNA.
Look, fool. Look.
You choose to have it there.
Look, fool.
You're making excuses.
He's got a bit of a point though, because it is kind of like
it's implanted in us,
right?
But it doesn't mean it has to stay there.
Yeah,
it's there.
You're right. No, it takes a lot to
Or look, do you want that, or do you want these kids to be little pinches jotitos ahí, you know, with walking around switching back and forth?
That's already happening.
That's already happening.
Yeah. So we need to bust a nut and yeah.
It's not keeping it from happening. You know what? Now, so this is the idea behind it and why.
Chichis and nalgas is normal. It's normal, fool. Like, yeah, all this. Look, fool. Let's get political now, fool.
Why?
Because we went. Look, fool. Look.
I'm trying to teach.
Keep
Johnny
the balls out of the Olympics and all that shit, fool.
Yeah.
Look.
True.
There is gay.
I mean, not.
Look, fool.
I'm not agreeing.
If you're gay, you were born gay, or whatever.
You know,
look, fool.
You know when you're gonna sexually transmutate. You're gonna do it. You're gonna do it at some point in your life.
I'm a sexual transmutant right now. With
you know you're gonna do it at some point in your life. When you hit late 40s, 50s, you're not gonna have sex like you're doing it.
Blue Chew.
But
that's gonna
can with Blue Chew.
But that's gonna be a choice.
And a honey pack. Yeah.
That's gonna be but this is what I'm saying. That's gonna look. But listen, that right there is your discipline to keep yourself doing the same shit.
I'm gonna keep this thing going because they're trying to take us out.
Who?
Them or whoever it is. Who?
Who's them? Who's them?
Wait. Look,
Johnny.
Let's keep it going, fool. Just fuck. Come on, wait. You know, everybody likes tits.
We're trying to keep it going, but you can't stop talking about busting a nut.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want ayahuasca, fool. If it makes me not want to, like, yeah, fool. I love tits. I
become
love
better.
I love chichis.
Self-control.
I love chichis.
You don't want anything that teaches you self-control.
I love tits.
And discipline.
I love ass.
Me too.
That's what's wrong with that.
Me too.
That's normal.
Well, until it gets you in trouble.
Look, fool.
And then what?
That's self.
And then what? And then what? And then what?
Child support.
Exactly. Or self-control. And that's what we're talking about.
But
we're talking about self-control. As a man, have self-control.
I don't weigh.
So let's get into that. So if you're a man that's not practicing self-control in all aspects of your life, are you a man? Can you be considered a man?
Look, fool.
I don't believe so. Believe so.
It's not an easy road. That's for sure. Have you guys heard? And this is from a book. It's hard times create good men. Good men create good times. Good times create weak men.
Yeah.
Essentially, and it's 250 year cycle, and it relates to the rise and fall of empires. Because as men become weak, so does the fabric of society, and it starts sort of imploding. And essentially, they say that that's where we're at right now.
Yeah.
And that's why I think that stoicism and this kind of practices are important nowadays, because culturally, we are exposed to just comfort and pleasure. And what happens is that you become accustomed to that, and you essentially start feeling like that is the norm. And all of a sudden, when you feel any kind of discomfort or pain, all of a sudden there's something wrong with you, and you start feeling anxious, and you start feeling depressed. But that's actually your body, your mind going back to homeostasis is what they call that, right? It's that balance, because it's a balance of pain and pleasure. That's all it is. Dopamine is a balance of pain and pleasure. So the higher the pleasure, the lower the pain, and it's an inverse relationship. And the higher the pain, the lower the pressure.
Well, look,
the pleasure. But hold that thought. And so what happens is that when you're exposed to comfort and pleasure for a prolonged period of time, that you essentially become weaker, because you can't tolerate the opposite anymore. But it's going to return back to homeostasis regardless of however, whether you want to or not, because eventually the pleasure will cause pain.
Yeah.
Eventually that pleasure that you succumb into will generate pain.
Yeah.
There's no ifs or buts about it, whether it is gaining weight, ending your relationships because you can't control your busting the nut, or because you can't, or because, and this will take us right into what we were talking about, Johnny, before we even started, and talking about drugs and alcohol. This is a part of a story that I really never shared with people before, but if I'm going to share it, it's going to be here in this podcast and with you guys. But I wrestled with, substance abuse, with drugs and alcohol for 23 years. I've been sober for 2.5 years now. But I did go down that route, and I did gave into pleasure and for a very long time. And, and now this past 2 years is been a painful road trying to return back to that homeostasis space. And that's part of the reason why I practice sometimes abstinence, not choosing not to drink when, going to social settings and things like that, because I feel like I'm taking my power back.
Yeah.
I didn't have
your control.
And my control. Yeah. I didn't have the discipline before, and I was just the victim of my circumstances, and anything that was that looked shiny or looked pleasurable, like there I was, and so I in the end, I just wasn't content with the man I was becoming. And when I was taking a look at that reflection in the mirror, it just didn't settle well with me, man. And so I'm like, there has to be something.
What do you think your motive was, though? Because like, I'm in the process of my life where I have to make changes, and as I'm working to make changes, I'm getting hit harder in other areas.
My motive for going a different route, or for doing what I was doing at the time.
No, for changing.
My motive for changing, man, Rick. That's a hard one to say, because like I feel like I didn't choose to change. I had to change. Mm-hmm. I got to a point where I just couldn't do what I was doing anymore because my health wouldn't allow me to. Mm-hmm.
I remember you did get sick.
I was sick for very many years. Yeah, and I had chronic illnesses, but that's from all the self-abuse, of all those years. Yeah. But I was a different type of, some substance abuser. I was a functional one, you know, and I always justified it because I was, I was paying my bills. I was going to school, so it was okay.
It was fueling you.
Yeah, it was okay. Yeah, I was justifying it in that way. But at some point, like my health went to shit. You know, I couldn't smoke cigarettes anymore. I had to let that go. My digestive system went to shit. I couldn't drink no more. And I had to let go of a lot of these things. And so I had to, start eating better. I had to start sleeping better. And I had to start doing all these things, working out.
Would you say that whenever you got sick, because when you got your pancreas?
It was my digestive system, my gallbladder, essentially.
Gallbladder.
Mm-hmm.
When you were going through that, do you feel like that really set in for you as far as like health-wise and trying to just be more natural?
Well, I think at some point I felt that I wasn't gonna get better.
Yeah,
I got to a point where I thought it was only gonna get worse, and I was gonna be better off dead. So that's where like the suicide thoughts and things like that started coming to mind, and that's when you start like getting scared of some of the the things that you contemplate.
Yeah.
And so, man, I really had to make a decision, like to say, man, can I really start thinking about my reality in a different way and dig myself out of this? I knew it was going to be a long journey, but, I was willing to do whatever it takes, and the first thing was stop creating the damage.
Yeah.
So I had to start ruling out,
Yeah.
But I'm gonna share a story here, and this is something that I it's kind of hard to share because I think this was the turning point for me.
Yeah.
And it was a day really where a Saturday night where I was supposed to go to church the following day.
Yeah.
With my family at the time, and my brother came through, and we were supposed to just have a 6-pack.
Yeah.
And I told him, I was like, hey, man, tomorrow I got to get up early. We're going to church. And that 6-pack turned into a 12-pack.
Yeah.
And that 12-pack turned into a 24-pack. And before we knew it, it's 2 a.m, we hitting up the plug, to come through and drop off some shit.
Yeah.
And, we stayed up all night, 7 a.m, man, haven't slept, a bit, and, just kind of like thinking, okay, here in a few hours, I was supposed to be going to church,
Now you can't go to church.
Now I can't go to church, my daughter getting up, hey, Dad, we're going to go to church, right? And I'm not in no shape of going to church.
Right.
And I remember that day, man, feeling like I was going to have a fucking heart attack, man.
Yeah.
And I think that was the day that I prayed a very dangerous prayer.
Yeah.
Because I got to a point where like I was so ashamed. I got on my knees and I prayed to God, and I said, God, whatever you have to do to help me get rid of this, because I can't do it on my own, and that was, I think, one of the turning points for me, and that set everything else in motion, man, because at that point I felt like I wasn't even in control anymore. It was just I was going through a process, like a 10-year process of getting myself out of all the things that I've let in, kicking out all the demons, one at a time.
Yeah.
And everything that you've let in terms of like habits, people, whatever else into your life, you're gonna have to clean up that mess. At some point, you're gonna have to clean up that mess, or you can continue to live in it. Yeah. But it's always going to impact your reality.
Yeah.
And you're not gonna feel satisfied until you start doing some house cleaning, bro.
Yeah. And look, bro, you're right, man. And look, everything you said, bro, was spot on. And look, I know I say a lot of crazy things and all that, but look, like, I'm still, trying to like better myself. I'm not there yet. And look, I'm proud of you, bro, because it is a journey. You know what I'm saying? But look, like, people, they don't want to listen. You know what I'm saying? you know, it's hard to like get people's attention. You know, because like it's kind of like your stomach. You know, you know your stomach stretches and stretches and stretches. You know.
I don't think that people don't want to listen. I don't think that people don't want to listen. I think that they think they can't get out of it.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Look,
I don't think people think that they can get out of their situation.
One thing this pastor told me that has helped me a lot, you know, through my daily life. Because look, bro, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for God. You know what I'm saying?
Amen.
I've been through a lot of things and all that. You know what I'm saying, bro? And look, like,
amen to Jesus.
And look, what he told me was like, you know, we forget about God. You know, that like through our life, through our daily life, you know, like you know how I was saying earlier, you know, goofing around, you know, busting up, all that. But look, like when you replace that with God, you know, like if you think about God as much as you think about busting a nut or like getting high or drink, all that, you know, if you replace that with God, mm-hmm. look how much your life will change, you know, mm-hmm. like you know, like we forget about God whenever things are going good, mm-hmm. you know, but when things are bad, you're out here, you know, begging for him, you know, but he does things in our lives so we remind him. I mean, so we remind ourselves that he exists. You know?
Yeah.
You know.
Absolutely.
So you know you're like, oh God, why is this happening to me? You know you want to blame God? No, God is doing those things to you because he's trying to remind you that he's there. You know what I mean?
Sometimes it ain't God.
He's trying to remind you that he exists. You know
sometimes
what I mean?
Sometimes it ain't God though. Sometimes it's the enemy putting traps and. Because he knows your weaknesses. He knows your.
That's the difference. That like between like
you got to be spiritually awake to understand when God's doing something for you and when something's attacking you.
There's two types of people. There's people that are believers.
God doesn't put temptation in your face.
No. There's two types of people. There's the lost and there's the believer. You know, there's two types of people: the lost and the believers. You know, and God is gonna take care of His children. You know, the lost is a lost. You know, the lost don't know. Where to go?
What do you consider yourself?
A believer.
All right.
Yeah, a believer. You know, because that's why I'm alive. You know, and look, God is gonna punish his people worse than the lost because they don't know no better. Mm-hmm. You know, because when you're a child of God, you know, like he's gonna discipline you harder than somebody that don't know Him. You know, because they don't know no better. You know, so it's our job to like. Teach them, you know. So yeah. So, I mean, they don't know no better. You know, why is He gonna go hard on them? No, it's like God is gonna go harder on somebody that knows what it is. You know, and that's
you think
crazy.
You think God punishes?
Yes, 100%.
Look, I think God teaches.
You know how I used to pray. Look,
yeah, I agree with you.
Look.
I agree.
This is how I used to pray, bro. I was like, look, when I would really, really pray, I was like, look, God, if I'm messing up, if I'm doing something wrong, like, I'd ask Him to punish me.
Correct me.
And look, He did it. You know, my grandmother took her away. You know, look, like, I've never said this to anybody yet, you know. And then, like in hindsight, you know, like it doesn't feel real, but this really happened. And then I asked my mom about this too, and then it really happened. Look, my grandmother, you know, like we call it my nana, got him, you know, mm-hmm. Found her in her apartment on the toilet, slump like that. My grandmother, the one that loved me the most, you know.
Man, that's
love me the most, you know.
I can relate. I can relate.
Like, remember the Rikc store, you know, that was out here.
Yeah.
Look, I'd go home, and then like I'd stop by her house every day after work.
Yeah.
Watch novelas and eat dinner with her. Mm-hmm. And you know, that woman told me about a lot of things. You know, she'd be like, mijo, you know, tienes que cuidar, you know, tu salud porque quiero nietos and all. You know, yeah, she should tell me like the truth.
Yeah. She'd be really happy right now.
Yeah.
To know that you're giving her a grand child.
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
She would be.
Yeah, for sure. But I'm like, look. So I pray that, look, do the worst thing you could do to me. He took her away.
You think that was God?
Yes, because look, I prayed to him for that.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I know better. You know?
Yeah.
You know? I knew my life wasn't perfect. I prayed again. He took my pops away. You know?
Yeah.
Because I asked for that. Because when you know better, you ask for it. When you know better, you ask for it.
So what do you think he was trying to teach you?
Discipline.
Did you learn it?
I'm still learning, bro. I'm still learning. Yeah, to be honest, I'm still learning. You know.
But do you feel?
And now,
Do you feel like you're more disciplined now than you were before?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Because that's all we can never hope for is just to be better than what we were before.
Yeah.
That's it, man. As long as you continue to do that, I think you'll eventually arrive. But you have to move in that direction, you know.
But me, you know what? I shouldn't be here, bro. Because look, I had cancer when I was in first grade.
No shit.
Yeah.
Damn.
Cancer
Bro.
when I was in first grade, bro. You know, like
Took his hair.
For real, you.
Look.
This fool.
Yeah. Look,
Man, this is the first time Johnny opening up and shit.
Look, fool.
It took his hair.
Let me see your hairline. Wait. Let me see your hairline.
You're the one that gets him going for real.
I gotta get him back for the George shit, motherfucker. I got a full set of hair, boy. Look, I ain't losing mine.
Let me see your phone, fool. I know that grinder app's on.
Shut the fuck up. Come on,
hey
keep
man,
going.
I appreciate you opening up.
Hold
though,
on,
man.
fool. Get away.
Bro.
Whoa.
He over here, bro, opening up, man. Come on,
I was
man.
opening up by George. Homie hit me with the fucking George. Come on.
At first, I was seeing a different version of Johnny. So anyway, Johnny, síguele.
Come
Look,
back.
fool. Because look what.
Reset.
Like, I gotta go bust a nut to reset.
So Johnny, you had
Hold on,
cancer.
wait.
You had cancer.
In first grade, man, that's crazy.
Yeah, fool. But look, like, a lot of people, you know, like, as adults, you were like a product of what happened when you were a kid, you know, because your mind is developing when you're young.
All right.
Like, you know, there's like hundreds of people, yeah, you know, they got molested as kids, you know, you know, I mean, it's like, you know, it's crazy the numbers of like you know of people that's happened to, you know, and things like that when you're little,
Yeah.
like it creates who you are as an adult.
What type of cancer did you have?
I had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
How advanced was it?
I was a Make-A-Wish kid.
For real?
Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah,
Damn,
bro. Yeah.
homeboy.
I was making look. I remember like when it first hit me because we're like at a Mexican restaurant. I don't know where we were at, but I remember I drank some horchata and I threw up. Then like that was that. Then I spent the night at my cousin's house. Then I kept throwing up. Then like my parents picked me up, and then you know I was sick. So then, yeah. Fast forward to you know it's crazy that you know Children's Mercy, you know it's like one of the best hospitals
Shout
like
out Children
in the
Mercy.
country. You know,
So you had to like do radiation, chemotherapy, and all that shit.
Yeah, bro.
Damn, homeboy.
Look. I had.
Did you know this, Rick?
Yeah.
Look. I shared a hospital room with because like most of the kids around me, they had leukemia. You know.
Yeah.
Look. I was playing Super Nintendo with a kid that shared a hospital room with me, and then the next day their bed's empty.
What did that do to you? Like, how did you like? Can you still recollect like the emotions you were processing at the time? I mean, did you feel scared? Did you?
Yeah, I was scared.
Did you think? Did you think you was gonna die and shit?
Were you able to process when that bed was empty that
No.
kid was gone?
Were you at least like
You weren't
aware?
able
I wasn't able to.
No.
Look, bro, that's what I'm going back to that. That like as kids, like trauma happens, like, and then you don't realize the trauma till you get older, and then like why am I so fucked up,
Bro? But how do? Okay, so how does that show up in your life now? Like if you had that experience and now you're here at 37 years old, how does that show up in your life now? Like what exactly happens? Like
you know what happens? Yeah. Look, bro, I thought I couldn't have kids because look, the radiation and the chemo and all that stuff. Hold on, let me go back to like the Make-A-Wish thing. Look, I was a kid in the 90s, you know?
Right.
I remember like the social worker came in with a little notepad. Like, no parents around, you know, took me in the room. And you know, she asked me, she's like, look, imagine you had a genie, you know, 3 wishes. What would you want?
Right.
Anything you want. That's what she asked me, you know. And then, you know what I said? I said, meet Michael Jackson, meet Michael Jordan, or go to Disney World. You know, in the 90s, yeah, you know. Look,
that's as good as it gets in the 90s.
If I went to Neverland, no mama's way. I mean, shit, I would have been cashing out, fool. I mean, I would have been in Neverland. I would have been sipping wine with Michael.
Right.
You know, you know, I would have been on the documentary. Fool. I wouldn't be here with y'all, fool. Look, you know, I would be on the documentary on Netflix, fool.
You'd have been molested at the.
No. I was like, unless people pay me, fucker. Yeah. I'll let Michael Jackson.
The grinder situation starting to make more sense, man.
Look, fool.
It's all coming together.
What was the name of his ranch, bro?
Neverland.
The Neverland Ranch, yeah.
They was called Neverland. He was a Make-A-Wish kid.
Me that way. I wouldn't be here with y'all, fool.
No, we know.
It would have been a whole different scenario, fool.
We know.
So you would have let Michael Jackson jerk you off for $1 million?
What?
That would have been a hard one way.
Look, fool.
Literally and figuratively.
Look.
That would have been a hard one way. You know?
Look what. I love comedy, fool.
Yeah.
So,
you.
No. I love comedy.
Good.
No. I love comedy, but look, fool. I do say some off the wall shit, but you know, people like they take shit too literally. You know what I'm saying? Fool? You know damn well I don't mean that shit, fool. But you know, people's just too soft. You're like, come on now, you know, it's like.
They can't find the humor in it sometimes.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes you gotta lighten up. You know, it's too much shit going on in the world to not laugh about it. You know what I'm saying?
Mean your jokes?
Like, if I was a kid, if I could trade, you know, so yeah, we ended up going to Disney World, fool. Yeah, because everybody benefited from that, fool. Yeah, if I would have met Michael Jordan, fool, he didn't even want to fucking sign Chameleonaires or take a picture with Chameleonaire, fool. He's like, I'm gonna take pictures with.
Yeah.
I could say the N-word, right? I'm Mexican.
Yeah, bro, go ahead.
Nah, I ain't gonna say it.
But yeah,
but you asking me like I'm supposed to verify that.
Fool. Come on now, fool. Look, the dog is saying the N-word in her head right now, fool, as you're petting her, like look at this nigga. Pet me. Yeah.
Nah.
So yeah, so it could have went all kinds of different ways. If I would have met Michael Jordan, that asshole.
Who do you think is more of an asshole, Jordan or LeBron?
Asshole, insert N-word. I think Michael Jordan is a straight more asshole than LeBron.
You think so?
Or yes.
How?
I don't know. I think
you don't see Michael Jordan talk about Taco. That man, LeBron celebrates Taco Tuesday. Yeah. Man, come on, cuz. Look, we cancel that motherfucker for that bullshit.
Well,
talking about Taco Tuesday.
Who's richer though?
Mike.
Exactly. Mike don't got nothing to do no more. Nothing to prove.
Fool.
That fool's on the island with.
Look, fool. With Epstein.
Exactly.
But what I'm saying is, I could have been one of those Make-A-Wish kids on the documentaries.
Yeah, but you weren't.
So, when opportunity comes, don't miss out. I would not be sitting here, fool, if I had the opportunity. Fool. Michael Jackson and Michael Jordan, I could have been one of those kids.
Yeah. You could have. But you were
Touch my nuts, fool, and give me a fucking $1 billion, fool. Dude. Yeah, hell yeah.
But you were Mexican, fool.
But I'm Mexican. Yeah, fool, it would have been different for you.
If you were white,
you know?
If you were white, you would have been at Neverland.
Maybe they didn't catch you on Taco Tuesday.
They didn't.
Fool, look.
They weren't fucking with the Mexicans.
Fool, so we went to Disney World. It's in Florida, but I could have said Disneyland, but I thought Disney World. That's the real Disneyland.
Yeah.
To tie it into Kansas City, you know, Walt Disney.
Yeah.
He had the Laugh-O-Gram Studios. You know, you know, he came up with Mickey Mouse right there on Truth.
Yeah.
You know, like
The story started here. You're right about that. Yeah.
Yeah, you know,
it all originated here in the Midwest.
So that's full circle, all that. But yeah, so we went over there. You know, that's when Nickelodeon was popping. You know, we got to walk through the set of Gullah Gullah Island.
And this is through that. This is through that situation.
Cancer, yeah. Situation, yeah. Through me, I almost died. 80% of dying. Yeah. Situation way.
No, I'm saying I didn't know if it was something that you did later or if it was directly
Something that I did later way.
directly through that.
Through what?
To
So
make
the
a wish.
experience, yeah.
Cancer?
Yeah, because you asked for those wishes. They made them.
I didn't ask for cancer way.
No, you asked to go to there, and they
I
actually
didn't ask for. They
took
chose
you?
for me. In hindsight, way they chose for me.
I got you, but they did it for you though. Is what I'm asking. Like you were there because they did it for you.
Yeah,
Okay, I got you.
there was like a whole resort full. You know, there was like the whole.
I'm asking that because I always thought that things
it was
were
a
true.
village of mushroom houses way.
Right.
They took us to. It was a village of little mushroom houses way, and
Right.
then we went in there way. Like we opened the fridge, it was packed full of Lunchables and Capri Suns. Yeah.
Was it like a psychedelic experience or
No.
no?
Fool, I was fucking like I was in first grade with. Low-key kind of way,
hey, but check it out then. So
I got slimed.
no, but
I tasted slime.
Yeah.
Remember Nickelodeon slime?
Yeah.
As a kid,
You would taste slime.
come on. Look, fool.
It's just jokes, way. It's jokes.
Do you want me to be on bullshit, or you want me to take it
Oh,
serious?
now you
fool?
want to be serious, Wade. Now you want to be serious. Okay, Wade.
Look, wait.
I'm just showing you what it feels like, Wade.
little taste of his own medicine.
Look, wait.
All right.
Look. Okay, look, stop. So,
Reset.
Reset, Wade. Reset.
look, fool. So, look. Back in the 90s, fool. Look, fool. What? Well, okay, look. Let's get a little more.
Let's get
okay,
back
look.
to your story. I want to know what happened with the cancer. Did you like?
I'm right here. Aquí estoy.
Right, but how did you get better? How long were you in that state and know how
Fool.
long? How long?
I don't know. Fool, it was all the blur. Fool, I was a little kid one.
Right, but how did it impact you and now? And you're talking about trauma and how this experiences shape you
I still don't know if I'm still trying to learn from it.
yeah.
Yeah. To be honest with you, yeah, you know, I still don't know how it impacted me. But I know for sure.
You went through it.
Yeah, for sure. You know, it shaped me who I am right now. Because that's not normal for people to go through.
That's what he was asking earlier. Like, what does it mean to you now versus then?
I got shot before. You know,
Yeah, I
things
remember
like
that.
that.
I remember
You got
that.
shot.
Yeah,
So you faced death several times, a few times, twice. How many times?
I was in Mexico. You know, because like they like heat up the coffee. You know the boiling water. You know, like I was like 2 years old.
Yeah, café de la olla. Yeah.
Yeah, I was 2 years old. I grabbed the pot off the thing and I dumped it all
That's great.
on top of me. Yeah. Then like shout out to all the mothers. You know, like mothers that you know. I remember my jefa. You know, she held me up in the hospital room. You know, in Mexico. You know, because the vent was like up high. Little fat baby. You know, she held me up so the cold air would hit me. You know.
Yeah.
You know, and her arms would get tired. You know. But she still held me up so that cold air would hit me. You know.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane, bro.
Yeah,
Man,
bro.
it's crazy just to think about all the experiences we lived through, that we survived, right? That should be reassurance that, like we made it through 100% of every challenge or situation we've ever been through. That's a pretty damn good record.
I could have did 46 years for kidnapping.
Damn, son, you got a crazy story, homeboy.
Kidnapping.
Damn.
Yeah, like it was a homeboy fool. You know, it was like all jokes and shit like that fool. But like I'll never forget that day fool. You know, we was all like kicking it and drinking and shit like that fool. Then he was like, "Hey, tie me up like Houdini." Stupid shit fool. So like, yeah, extension course, but we was wilding out back then too fool. You know, like we was like crazy motherfuckers fool. So like, yeah. Yeah, he got tied up like that, fool. But then, yeah, he got scared. To the point.
He got mad or what?
Fool, look to the point. Fool, look, fool, like the primo was in the kitchen, fool, frying up some eggs, was feeding him fucking eggs and shit like that, fool. All kinds of shit, fool. Then,
so you guys took a prank too far.
yes,
that's what happened.
Basically, yes,
Yeah.
fool. And then like, so everybody crashed out. We forgot about the fool. Getting tied up in the back. Yeah. Then we look, fool. The fool's gone. Yeah. And then next thing I know, fool, like I'm looking out the window. It's hella snow outside, fool. We're like, "Hey, cuz, look, the neighbors are about to get kicked in."
Yeah.
So it's like fucking SWAT team out there, fool, with the rifles and shit and all that, fool, with the whole fucking vest and all that shit, fool. Like about to kick in the door
SWAT
next door.
And shit?
Fool. Look, fool, I'm looking through the window, fool, and the SWAT team's next door. And then I'm like, I'm gonna see what's fool. Then I'm telling the primo, I was like, look, cuz, nigga. And then I forget about the fool back there, fool. I didn't even know he was gone. So then, yeah, they're about to kick in the fools next door. And then I was like, look, fool, these motherfuckers about to get kicked in. Way. Then you know, took a swig of the bottle. I was like, no, man, this way, look. So then, I was like, man, I got tired. So we lay back down. Next thing you know, boom, boom, boom. The fucking door gets busted down. And then the rifles are in our face. Yeah.
Damn.
That's wild.
Yeah, fool. So they hit the wrong house up way. Then you know, that was meant for us. Then like, yeah, there was a big ass CSI camera, like the big ass flash. Then I see like these fools like paper bags. You know, they just grab shit. You know, they had it. Then like. They threw us all in the cars. It was me and my two other primos and shit. So then they separated us, and then like yeah, like the detectives were like, hey man, like it's a serious shit. You know, like you know that this like kidnapping. So what happened was this pendejo got loose and look fool. And then before that. Like
got loose. You say like he wasn't supposed to get loose.
Look,
like he's supposed to be tied up.
Fool, but he was a homie fool. It was a prank gone wrong. It was a prank gone wrong. But look, fool. Me and him, we were homies. Fool. I remember fool. You know, me and him, we went to see Carlos Santana at the Starlight Theater on 4th of July. Fool. You know. You know, that was a dope ass experience. But you know what I'm saying? But you know, nobody want to go. Yeah, you know, memories like that. You know, he was a homeboy.
I was.
Yeah. So it was a prank gone. Okay, look, it's a prank gone wrong. Fool.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, we're looking at 46 years, something like that. For kidnapping. But so what saved us was with the detective. I was like, look. Check that fucker's fucking bloodstream. He's coked out like a motherfucker. He's fucking lying.
Just snitched his ass out.
Yeah. I was like, he's coked out. He was drunk. Fuck that fool.
We had to tie him up. He was going crazy.
Nah, fool. So what happened was, fool, he got scared because we forgot about him back there. and then like he called his sister, and then he's like, yeah, fool. And I miss him, bro. Yeah, fool. You know, I mean, fool. Yeah, it's just a prank gone wrong, fool.
That's crazy, man.
We're kids being kids. Fool. Come on, yeah, come on, fool. You know, we're just kids. You know, just like horseplay,
right?
Horseplay way. Yeah, but yeah.
That could have cost you 46 years. That's nuts.
I'm gonna let that out for you. You know, this is therapeutic.
That's a crazy.
That's
prank.
good. That's good. Hey, man, what else? Like, you know, since we're hey, check it out. Since we're here talking about this people basically getting to know us and stuff. Like, what else? Like, you want people to know about you? Like, you share some good stuff. Cancer survivor. You know, almost died twice. I mean, dude, like, you know, you've been through it. So, what else? This is a shock because like you always got something to say.
You know what?
The
Where'd you get
silences.
shot?
Okay, look for huh?
Where'd you get shot?
On my leg. It was in and out. Went in and out. And yeah, we were just walking up the street, and then like you know, because the neighbor you know wanted some trees, so you know we're going up the street around the corner. Then like yeah, the car pulled up on top of the hill, and then yeah, it was like the warm sunny day. You know everybody was outside on the porch and stuff like that. Yeah, just blah, blah, blah. Then we were just zigzagging. So then I ran back to the house. Then like my cousin he was in the back room with his girl, and this is like midday. But you know we had like a little burner underneath the couch. So I went and grabbed it. He's like, "What are you doing, fool?" Then you know he heard all the shots and stuff like that. But you know I look back at this moment because it makes sense. So he grabbed me, and me and him are fighting over the gun. And then like his mom comes out, and then it looks like my leg is like damn, you're bleeding. I didn't even realize I was shot. You know, so I grabbed the gun. Then me and him are fighting over the gun. Then he's like, "Fool, they're gone. What are you gonna run back out there for when they're gone?"
You shot yourself?
No, they shot me.
Oh, okay.
But I went and grabbed the gun.
Oh, okay,
but
okay.
what's the point of me running back out there when they're already gone?
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
You know. So me and him were wrestling over it. So it didn't make sense to me. But I didn't even know I was shot at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's wild.
Yeah, so then she takes me to Truman. Then like they're like, well, we don't stitch up gunshot wounds. So you know we're sitting there for hours waiting. I'm bleeding. Then you know so we jack all the Neosporin and the bandages from the cabinets and we leave. Well, yeah. So
They don't stitch up wounds.
supposedly
Why?
I don't know. Fool.
Because that's definitely a stitch situation.
Look, fool, we did 3 hours where they're like, well, we don't stitch up gunshot wounds. So
That's
then we're like,
crazy.
fuck that. Fool. So we took all the Neosporin for I think for the bandages and we left.
Damn, that's gangster.
That's crazy. If you would have got shot and the bullet would have stayed in you, would they have took the bullet out?
I don't know, fool. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a.
This is crazy. The fact that they don't stitch up.
Look, fool. Speaking of that, fool. Look, fool. I've pulled out a little bullet casings fool from people. Fool. Yeah, fool. Yeah.
Out of what?
In la pedo, yeah. You know, because look, fool, man, the bullet's still in there, fool. You feel the little bump right there? All right, cause I got you. So we took a little serrucho.
Serrucho.
And then I try to be calculated. So I made like a little X, little cross.
You got it out?
Yeah. Cut it out right, fool. Yeah. And
Crazy,
it out, fool.
crazy.
You know the like Dr. Pimple Popper.
Wow, fool. This dude.
Yeah, you know like Dr. Pimple Popper, fool.
Is that real? Is that real or is that una ranchera, way?
No, it's real.
That's real? That's a real hood story right there.
Damn.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever had
Look,
it.
fool. It was like Saving Private Ryan type shit, fool.
For real.
Hood doctor, fool. Look, fool. Yeah, boy. Because look, fool, on that same blockway, like they would run up there, fool, and shoot up the cribs all the time, fool. So like I remember there was like they're having like a little get together across the street. The Morenos, you know, because like a little girl got shot,
Yeah.
got killed
Yeah.
through a drive-by on the same block we were at.
Yeah.
So then during their little thing, they came through and shot up the crib, and then like the primo next door got shot in the foot.
Mm-hmm.
So I dragged him, fool, and then took him behind the house while the gunfire was going on.
Damn.
Yeah, fool. And then like literally, fool, it was like man, like he was, his eyes rolling back of his head, fool, you know, because yeah, fool, you know, he was leaking blood. Yeah, he got shot like right on top of his foot.
Damn.
So I took his shoe off, and then like to keep him up, fool, like we're just feeding him fucking yay. Yeah, to wake him up. Yeah, fool. I don't know what else to do for him because he was passing out. I was like, "You're not gonna die on me, fucker." Dale. Yeah, fool.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, and then he was just like convulsing. Then the fucking the fucking ambulance came. And then I'm like I tried to get on the ambulance to ride with him. They're like, "You can't ride him." I'm like, "I'm gonna ride with him." They're like, "No, yeah, bro, yeah, no, it's way."
That's definitely a hood story. Wait.
Yeah. Well, you grew up in the hood, right? And
Not really, fool.
No, what side of
Yeah.
town? What side of town you from? Here in like where'd you grow up?
Well, yeah,
East side, you said the east side?
yeah, Independence, Kansas City. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
right
East side
on.
area, yeah.
Right on, but born and raised, right? Born and raised here? Like, but what's your background? Where your parents from?
Obregón, Sonora.
Or
Look.
de Sonora.
Puro yaqui.
La Sonora. De Isla Sonora Dinamita?
Oh,
No?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I don't know. We check.
Sonora.
Yeah.
So both of your parents background from Sonora or what?
Yeah.
Bet. ¿Cómo le dicen a los de Sonora, bro? ¿Sonoreños o
Sonorense.
sonorenses?
Yeah, sonorense.
¿Cómo le dicen a los de Irapuato, güey? ¿Irapatuanos? ¿Irapatuano? No.
Iracuense.
Sonoreños.
¿Cómo dicen a los salvadoreños?
A los salvadoreños le dicen
Cerote.
guanacos, creo que le dicen.
Colombia, güey.
Guanacos le dicen. ¿O de Colombia?
No.
I call them cerotes, güey.
¿Cómo? A los
That's
de,
racist,
bro,
I can't be racist.
a los de Guatemala le dicen chapines.
Los chapitos.
Chapines. So,
Chapines.
saludos a los chapines.
Look, güey.
Yeah, 100%.
Look.
Hey, 100% chapín aquí, bro. I was born and raised. Out of all my brothers and sisters, I was the only one that was actually born and raised over there.
Shut up, but the food. The tamales, güey.
¿De cuáles?
He's not a fan of Guatemalan.
¿Los de plátano? ¿Los de hoja de plátano no te gustan? You know what I'm talking about? You don't like those?
He was like, on one of the episodes, he's like, bro, there was a whole fucking chicken wing in that fucking thing.
No, es que son, hey, bro, esos son like 1,000 calories per tamal, cabrón. They're huge.
Tamales aguados, you know, todos pinches. Nah.
Yeah, it's got a lot of lard.
I'll eat them,
Yeah.
but
Pero sí, bro, so, yeah, Guatemala, bro, born and raised. I came here when I was 14 years old. I didn't speak a lick of English when I came here. I actually landed in Vegas when I came, and it's so.
I got a Vegas story too,
bro. It's so wild. It's so wild because you know, like you don't.
That way.
Deja la perra en paz, güey.
Ella me está.
Chingado.
Damn.
Pobre perra. Pobre perra.
Suelta un chingo de pelo, güey.
Yeah, pinches.
Yeah, would that be like your father?
What, my what?
You're a father.
I am.
About to be.
who's
He's
a
a
father?
father. I'm a father.
2 girls.
I'm about to be a father, bro.
Shout out to my girls.
So,
love them to pieces.
One girl. One
We got a
boy.
little baby chingas coming.
That's right. Damn, son.
It'll be crazy, boy.
Yeah.
How do you feel? Do you still have fear? I know you mentioned you were scared.
I'm not scared for. The only thing I'm scared for is like I just want to provide for you.
Caso perdido, cabrón.
Just yeah. You know, like it's because like you know you used to just like being by yourself.
Yeah.
Only take care of yourself. You know now. You know you got a mouth to feed. Yeah. You know you got to make sure that you know, like yeah. You know you make sure that they're good, straight. You know yeah.
And that also the example that you said it, right? I mean that was the thing that scared me the most when I became a parent. No, but
I remember I have an interesting little story. One of the most memorable new father moments for me was one time when Aaliyah was like, she was less than like 6 months. She was still a baby, right? And I remember walking in, I remember being in the house, and I think I was drinking. I might have smoked a little bit, and I remember like her crying. And I remember it was just me and her. Her mom was at work, and I remember going in there, and I remember holding her. And I was holding her, and I felt filthy, bro. Like filthy to just be holding. How innocent, like her innocence made me feel filthy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't deserve this.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like I don't deserve this
Yeah.
innocence right now. Like that shit took me for a spin, bro.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember getting her back to sleep, putting her in bed, and I went in the shower, bro, and like I tried to cleanse myself.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
That is powerful.
I remember I did a prayer and everything. I was like, baptizing myself. Pretty much.
Bro, but that is true though, man. I don't know at what at some point it's gonna hit you because I don't think right now you know you're not registering yet, but at some point it's gonna hit you, and that experience that you're gonna go through is gonna change the way you view your life. It is gonna change you.
But one thing, like what you mean? I mean, yeah, you're not with the mother, right?
No, it's
neither one of us.
No, neither one of us.
Yeah,
I was with her for 20 years though. You know, we had a long run.
So you know, with that thing is like, you know, that part bothers me too. You know, it's like you know, you want to do the best for the child, but then it's like, you know, you kind of feel guilty like when it don't work out with the parent, you know.
I used to, and you know, I actually grew up without my mom or my dad. Okay, so my grandma and my great grandma raised me from the time I was a year and a half old till I was 14. So one of the things I always told myself was, I'm never gonna let my kids grow up without their mom or their dad, right? And so I feel like I stayed in the marriage that long because of my past traumas. But it was actually my teen daughter that opened up my eyes because she was the one that
the oldest one.
The oldest one, yeah. Shout out to my baby, Emily. She's getting ready to go to college. She's 17. She's graduating next week.
Damn, bro.
Old, fool. Bro, hey, I'm telling you.
Look, you know what's crazy? That like when kids say like damn, y'all from the 1900s.
Mm-hmm. Bro, you know what she told me?
you know we are.
We are.
1900s.
We are. Hey, I'm an 80s baby, bro. You know, shit. Yeah. So yeah, time goes by. But you those
were the greatest years for the late 80s, the early 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
right.
It was a dope time to be alive. We had look. Okay, look. What kind of cartoons did you grow up with watching?
Bro, I grew up on Dragon Ball Z and Super Campeones and shit like that, bro. Like Los Caballeros del Zodiaco.
Los Caballeros del Zodiaco.
Bro,
hey,
puro Canal 5, bro.
Yeah.
En tus cinco sentidos, decía. ¿Te acuerdas?
Hey, Los Caballeros del Zodiaco. Hey, cause that's wild, bro. Yeah. You gotta know that.
Hey,
but you know what's wild? That what I found out. The Power Rangers, bro.
Power Rangers.
Look.
All
that shit was dubbed over for like we stole that from
China.
From Japan, China.
Japan, yeah.
That's crazy. That's all that everything that I just mentioned was Japanimation.
Yeah.
Everything I just mentioned.
But all that shit, like all the fighting and all that stuff, you know, from the Power Rangers, that was all dubbed over. All of that shit. You know, and all they did was just like put the little clips of the little like, you know, they're, you know, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of figured because I kind of figured because they all look Japanese.
Yeah,
like you know what I'm saying. They didn't look American until later down the road. I figured.
You know what I hate for? It's kind of crazy.
They didn't look American until they turned Super Saiyan.
So,
yeah.
Right. Ahora son güeros.
We grew up with Nickelodeon, right?
Yeah.
I grew up with the Chavo del Ocho también, bro.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
And
you too, bro?
Cantinflas too.
Cantinflas, bro.
No, you know who I grew up with?
I dance like Cantinflas, güey.
Juan Camané.
Pongan una cumbia.
Juan Camané. Look. And then you want to see why I'm talking about busting up because like all that shit was fucking so horned up.
What? Yeah, bro. Hey,
chichis and shit like and then that was normalized for us. Well, you know,
did you guys remember La Risa?
No. Look for clip this for the thumbnail,
bro. Do you remember La Risa en Vacaciones? Do you ever,
Bienvenidos
con el enano Tung Tung, ¿no?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, nasty little
motherfucker. Straight up.
Nasty.
Remember Lente Loco?
Sí, con
that was the
Bienvenidos
pranks at the there were pranks at the beach.
Sí.
And they always had girls on there.
Bienvenidos, remember Bienvenidos?
Simón. Lente Loco está con Sofía Vergara, ¿no, bro?
Pasito Tum Tum, yeah.
Right? No.
Yeah, I think she was part of it.
Yeah, yeah.
She was part of it.
She was the
part of it.
co-host.
Yeah, she was
or the host.
She was a host at some point. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but there was a few.
The baddest.
You know who
weather lady. The baddest weather lady ever. Fool.
You know who the baddest weather lady?
Don Omar's ex.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say too.
Who that be? What's her name? I don't even know who she.
I don't fucking remember.
No, but you know what I'm talking about, right? You know.
Yeah. He fumbled that bag.
Yeah, he did.
He fumbled that bag.
No, I was like, man, I don't care.
You know who?
If it rains or snows,
you know
like,
who?
God,
you know who JOP reminds me of?
Who that?
From Fuerza?
From Fuerza Regida. He reminds me of that fool. He had a show on Univision way. I think it was like a Tonight Show, but it was a comedy. You know what I'm talking about? What's it? ¿No era Lente Loco?
No sé cuál dices, güey.
Lente Loco.
Familia Pelucci.
No. When
Familia Pelucci?
when it pops up, it pops up and when you're gonna see it as soon as I remember this fucking name, bro. I just had it. I just fucking had it, way. He always used to wear like a hat. He had kind of long hair, just like JOP has right now.
You talking about El Loco Hugo?
I might. What was the show?
You talking about the guy that used to just flash and shit, or what? People used to flash people, had a long coat and shit. No, El Loco Hugo.
I don't know. Damn it! I just had his name.
That's fucking pervert shit. Wait.
No, this shit was for real.
Yeah. But that's like pervert shit. Wait, that shit was
I'm about
funny.
to look this up. I fumbled that one. I had the name and then I forgot it as I was mentioning the story.
Don Francisco presenta.
No. Oh, Don Francisco had a lot of women. That's another.
Don Francisco,
that's another one.
That's OG, fool.
Bro.
Is he still alive?
You watch Don Francisco to watch. I mean, I used to watch it for the women. I'm like, look at the models.
Las novelas, güey. No mames.
Novelas
Mujeres
too.
Un Camino?
Yeah, like that's true though. Like,
you know what that was about? You know what those Mujeres Un Camino was about? That fool. That was about adultery.
Calle, no.
It was.
It was about adultery. Fool. Yeah, for that fool on the road fucking another bitch fool, when he had his girl back in the house, back home.
Yeah.
And it was okay.
Mm-hmm. Dos mujeres.
Un Camino. Fucking Eric Estrada.
Yeah, I remember that. And ¿cómo se llama la Victoria Rufo? And yeah. Man, éramos noveleros, cabrón, eh?
Yeah, we were from.
Well, my great grandma used to watch him every night, so
that's what I'm saying.
I had no choice.
Yeah. But no. But they were dope back then. But right now, fools, son puras novelas de Rusia, and then like they're all dubbed over like weird shit. It's like some shit from Ukraine now. Wait, they're watching fools. It's like, no, que novela está buena. I'm like, what is this?
I can't. I don't know what. I don't even know what's out there no more.
Fool. But we bring back that old school. Real fucking yeah.
I wouldn't trade the times I grew up in though, man. I really did. I wouldn't trade my childhood for nothing, man. The first 14 years of my life, I had a great experience. Cause
you remember where you were at when Selena passed away?
I was in Guatemala, bro.
You remember the moment where you were at when she passed away?
I was in my living room watching Primer Impacto.
That was our 9/11.
El Gordo y la Flaca.
Yeah, Primer Impacto. That's how I found out about it. I couldn't believe it.
You know 6ix9ine.
I remember.
Hold on, I was about to say something.
You know how I found out when Selena passed away?
Did you find what you was looking for?
I heard my sister screaming in the other room like, Selena! I was like, what the hell? Like screaming bloody murder out there. I'm like, just like bawling her eyes out. You know. I thought like grandma passed away. And look, Yolanda Salva, she's about to get out.
Sandival. Oh, she's not gonna do well out here, man. People still remember Selena, and she's gonna catch all kinds of heat.
Oh, the chick when she gets out.
Yeah.
Yolanda's about to get out.
She's about to get out.
Yeah.
How many years did she do? She must have done a couple. Damn, how long is it? Couple decades, 3 decades.
You see that documentary she put out about Selena?
No.
Yeah. She put out a full documentary. She shows her, saying that like she was trying to cover up like Selena like messing with this rich doctor and all that stuff. But man, she was young. Selena was like 22,
Right.
young back then. Yeah,
She was hella young.
yeah. So she was over here like saying all kinds of crazy stuff about her. But you know what's crazy? It's like the dad. I don't know, bro. It's like you know in that type of industry, it's kind of weird because like. You see it happen all the time, like you know, like with Roger Troutman, like with Jimi Hendrix, all that. You know, their own family like takes them out over money and stuff. You know,
Yeah, I know. I see what you're saying.
yeah, it's crazy, bro. But I don't know.
No, to me, what's like crazy is that how one bullet can take you out, and then you got another,
Yeah.
you know, you got another situation like with 50, where you get 9 bullets and you
Yeah.
survive, and you're like, how does that happen? You know, how is this
Crazy.
all orchestrated, and how things end up working out the way they do? You know,
Crazy.
or surviving through things like the ones you've experienced, going through cancer.
Yeah.
You know, getting shot and the leg. What if that bullet would have hit you right where it hit Selena?
Yeah.
You know, so I oftentimes wonder about those things because like I feel like we're here for a reason. You
Yeah.
know, to tell you the truth, bro. Like, and this is another part of my story I never really share with anybody, but like, I was supposed to be an abortion. You know, my mom was hella young when she got pregnant with me, and you know, my dad left before I was born, so she didn't know exactly what to do with me, you know. Or to do with, you know, with con la panza, you know, tú sabes. Y she went to get an abortion, but the doctor that was supposed to do the abortion recognized her and asked her like, "Hey, does your mom know what you're doing?" And you know, she was only 17 still.
Yeah.
So she said no, you know, and so she went and talked to my grandma, and my grandma said, you know,
So you're the oldest one.
I am the oldest one. I'm the first one.
Yeah.
Oh man, look at this. What is this guy got
My
going on
man.
over here?
Speaking of abortion,
She's just beating it down.
This girl.
look, fool.
What's wrong with your dog, bro? She
Shit.
so back to the story.
But yeah, no. So
Hey, raise your kids right.
what does that say about the dogs?
I don't know, fool. But I need another litter, fool. So yeah.
What she's getting ready, bro. She got my pillow.
¿Está lista?
What were you saying about your mom?
No, I was just saying that sometimes before when you were gone, like how things happen the way they do, and you know, talking about how we survived through certain situations and how life itself orchestrates these things and why they happen in the way they do. You know, and it kind of led, you know, to the beginning of my story where, you know, I was supposed to be an abortion, and that's what I was, you know, telling Johnny, you know, but I look back and how many times in my life where I wasn't supposed to make it, and ended up making it through. You know, that before I was born, you know, my great grandma told me that when I was a year and a half old, I almost, you know, died because I got sick and they didn't have the resources to take care of me. You know, to take me to the hospital and do that, right? And I when I was 7 years old, I got kidnapped, bro. You know, and that's another, you know, situation that I got out of alive. You know, I ended up here in the United States because my life was in danger. You know, I ended up here because of a game of poker, which is crazy.
Really?
Yeah. You know, my grandfather, he that's what he did for, you know, for a living over there. You know, he played poker.
Yeah.
And the story goes that he was playing one of those nights with this bodyguard of a local cartel there. And he was cleaning him out, you know. And this guy just wouldn't let up, you know. Like, he's like, no, man, let's keep going. Because, like, you know, give me a chance to win my money back. And he was like, man, like, you're not going to win. You know, you're on a losing streak. Let's just give it up. And this he just wouldn't, right? And so he got up to go to the bathroom, and when he went to the bathroom, his friend, my grandfather's friend, followed him in there and said, "Hey man, here's this heat. You're gonna need it when you get out, because he's planning on killing you." And so he got out and anticipated it and fired first, killed him. And so they were afraid that they were gonna retaliate against the family and stuff like that. So my mom found out about it, and they actually got me out of my hometown like the following day.
It's a story you should talk.
No.
Hold on.
I mean, was that city big, or was it like?
No, it's a small. It's a small town. Yes,
that's a story. That's a story you need to talk to your mom about when she goes to that podcast, because that's the kind of content that they do over there.
Yeah.
That'd be an interesting story to put over there.
Yeah, but my mom ended up, sending the lawyer down there. I went to the Capitol, and I didn't even know that I was leaving for good. I mean, they told me I was just going to go get my passport, and I didn't even get a chance to say bye to my great grandma, which is basically my mother, man. Like, she is the reason I am the man I am today. Yeah. Because she took care of me during the essential years, And when I came to the States, I really only lived with my mom for 4 years before I was off to the military.
Right.
So my biggest influence in my life was my great grandmother, Mama Tila, que en paz descanse.
What do you remember the most about her, bro? Like a memory of her that vivid to you, like her cooking or something.
Man, I remember this memory when I was actually just starting to go to school, and I was terrified of going to school. And she took me to school and took me into class and literally stood by the window and waited until I came down before she left. And she would come and like meet me every recess at the gate until I was able to kind of just be okay on my own. But man, that lady gave me so much love, bro. Like that is one of the things that I am so grateful for, because like I had some of the best years of my life when I was in Guatemala, bro. Like, we didn't have like a whole lot. Like, honestly, like, we were what's considered poor in terms of material things. You know what I'm saying? Because the house that we lived in was, pretty like beat up, and we in the early years we didn't even have electricity or sewage.
So it was like dirt floors.
It was wood, pero like estaba bien jodida porque se la estaba comiendo todo el comején. El techo era de lámina.
So what like just like a common meal that you
frijoles, cabrón, breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
That's one of the most memorable meals I have from Mexico too, is frijoles con chorizo.
Simón.
You ever had them like that?
Fíjate que allá más que nada era con huevo, cabrón. Like that's
no. Like they
maybe some cheese.
They cook the refried beans.
Con chorizo no los he comido, no.
Así, o sea, le echan el chorizo, and they just look they look kind of like red.
Yeah. And in Guatemala, they mostly use black beans. That's what we ate a lot of.
I noticed that. That's in Puerto Rico too.
Is that right?
Yeah, you get a lot of black beans over there.
Yeah, but yeah, no, man. I and so I didn't even know I was leaving, and so I had to when I said bye to her, like I was it was kind of like, I'll see you soon.
Yeah.
And I ended up going to the Capitol. My mom sent the lawyer down there. We were in and out of these places, and before I knew it, she had my papers ready to go.
Were you still, able to like be in contact with her, like, or was that the last time you
that was the last time I saw her alive, because I had to go back and bury her a year later. She basically died of depression after I left. And I was the only male of like 7 women that she raised.
Wait. Well,
yeah.
She died of depression?
Yeah, she died. She was very depressed after I left, because I was basically, man, I was her son, bro. Like, so, and she was already older, so I think like my departure is sort of send her right into her death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, what was the actual cause of death?
She had a stroke.
Okay, I see what you mean.
She had a stroke, and in those days, bro, there was no Facebook, there was no WhatsApp. Like you only had like calling cards that sometimes you put in, and then
communication's difficult.
The calls would drop, and then you lose the entire fucking credit.
Because here, whenever you wanted to call to Mexico, you had to go into like a little like store and get the cards back in the day. Yeah,
and over there on that side, they didn't even have a phone, so I had to call the local phone company and schedule a date to call. No, for real.
Damn.
And then she would have to walk all the way where she couldn't even get around all that much, and get on this call with me and hope that the call don't drop.
What year was that?
This was in 98, 99. So
what's crazy, bro? That now from that to like where we're at now, like how technology is just so crazy. No,
dude, there's no distance anymore, man. You can see anybody or be everywhere, man, and that's but back there it wasn't a luxury, so I really didn't get an opportunity to really say goodbye to her. And so when I remember when I found out that she died, it just didn't quite it didn't quite set in, and when I went back home a year later, to bury her, they were like praying the rosary.
So when you left, you said you were 14?
I was 14.
So then it was like, so you were like,
I was 15 when I went. It was almost like, it was like exactly a year later. And so
that's crazy. All that happened so quick. Then you're that young. You don't even know what's going on.
You don't know how to handle, man. So I tell you the truth, I honestly, bro, didn't. When she passed, I couldn't even. I couldn't even. No, I couldn't feel. I didn't feel anything. I couldn't even cry.
Like numb, right?
And I felt numb. Exactly. Yeah. That was the feeling. It was this feeling of numbness, and I felt like shit because I'm like, man, how is it that I can't cry? Like, why this lady raised me for all these years, and like it was after her death that I kind of started spiraling out. That's when I first started experimenting with like marijuana, then alcohol, then other stuff started getting introduced. But like I never really touched any drugs or anything before then. I was a good kid. When I came to the States, I was a good kid.
So look, bro, like I want to touch on too, because like I know you experimented like with psychedelics, and all that stuff. You take all the trips and stuff like that. And like you've have had problems with drugs, alcoholism, all that stuff like that. But the psychedelics and all that, like that. You think that really helped you?
I do. Yeah. I think that plant medicine did. I don't even really necessarily even look at it as a drug.
Yeah.
I look at it as a plant. Because it's essentially that. It's just a plant. And going back to my great grandma, she was an herbalist. She never took me to a hospital. Whenever I was sick, she would cure me somehow with plants herself.
Like a curandera.
Yeah, and so like so I always had kind of like that inclination towards plants, and I know that there is healing in plants. And so the way I see, experiences like ayahuasca, is I don't see it as drugs, because I've experimented with both, and I can tell you that those experiences are anything but pleasant. It's not anything that you can't wait to do again. It doesn't produce pleasure. In the contrary, it produces discomfort and pain. And so, but as a result of the experience, you can reframe the way you look at your life. And I think,
like when you're in it, do you like,
do you hallucinate?
No, because right now we're in like this reality right now. Like consciousness, like how we're talking right now.
Right, and the material world, yeah, and the 3D reality.
So whenever you do it. Like it's scary because like a part of you, does it feel like damn, did I like do too much? Did I over? Is this what death is? I'm gonna be in this state forever.
Yeah. No, that's a good question because
You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you're saying, but I did initially before I had the experience. I was terrified because I didn't know what was gonna happen. You know what I mean, or what I was gonna come out believing in the other end of that experience. But you're right. I mean, we are in this 3D reality, in this material world, right? And I feel like whenever you experiment with this type of modalities, that you're able to access other sort of like dimensions, if you like the spiritual realm per se, and you're allowed access to it and see things from a different view. Like you start seeing yourself, your being as a spiritual being. So instead of being like a human being having a spiritual experience, you start seeing yourself as a spiritual being having a human experience.
And another thing too, like when you take those things, like your physical body goes through like stress too.
Purging.
So like
even on mushrooms.
Yeah, and things like that. Even like with the like cannabis edibles and stuff like that too. So like if your like physical body isn't healthy enough to handle that,
So the only time I've heard that psychedelics are problematic are for schizophrenic people.
No. But you know what I mean?
Heart conditions too.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like if you're like, if your physical body isn't healthy, like it could be a lot of stress and strain on your body, with your heart and all that stuff. And then you might not overdose off the substance, but
it could cause a heart attack.
Yeah. So it's kind of scary. Like you're in that state, but
because that
you
ego.
But you might die not over the substance, but you might die just because your physical body can't handle the.
But I don't think there's a documented death.
That's wild too.
There has been.
There has been.
Oh, okay.
There has been. Experiences where people do, but then that also comes with like. Like mixing substances, so like antidepressants and stuff like that, and so you have to be careful, like even like cocaine, because some people some people do it to get off of like addictions and drugs and stuff
some people like when we were talking to Coach what's his name, Coach Z, he told us that he had a bad shroom trip and that he basically ended up in a psych ward. And he said he wanted to kill himself during his shroom trip. Remember that?
Yeah.
And that when we heard that, we're like, whoa, that's crazy.
Okay, but one thing that you should know, okay, is this, that there's a difference between a psychedelic experience and a spiritual journey, okay? And so I was fortunate enough that in the place that I ended up with and the hands that I ended up with, I was working with this shaman that it was from lineage, and he was explaining to me that he's been doing this since he was a child, right? Like, and that it is
lineage.
His dad's dad, his dad, and his dad's dad, and so forth.
It wasn't like wasn't like some hippie.
No, it wasn't that. It's not that kind of business.
It's like legit,
bro. This kind of like plant medicine has been practiced for thousands of years, bro. Like, so it goes back like a long time. And he was telling me that the process that they go through is like they plant it, they plant the medicine, they harvest it, they brew it, and then they serve it. And in each one of those steps,
it's like a tea.
They bless it. It's actually it's a brew, and it has a consistency of barbecue sauce.
So it's thick.
It is. It's thick and it's it's tart.
It's like molasses, like baby food.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Sort of.
A little more liquidy.
A little bit more. Yeah.
So like when you did like how much did you ingest?
It's about a shot. About a shot.
But the whole thing at once.
Yeah. The whole thing at once.
It's like a Cuban coffee almost.
But it's the nastiest taste.
So the purging is like it's like the toxins and all this
body
about
cleansing.
Your body.
You know what?
And
It does. It says that. I mean, a lot of people have experienced physical healing, and now I'm gonna tell you something because remember, as I was telling you my story earlier, on how sick I was.
Yeah.
I've recovered physically from that experience because I was able to, for one, finally put down the drink. And I don't, I can't attribute. I don't know if I can attribute it completely to that experience because I had to.
Let me add as a person looking outside in. I feel like Dennis did his first experience in the worst mental state that he could have been in to do it because he had literally just like he wasn't divorced yet. He had literally just left his household
separated
under a traumatic. Like they didn't separate normally, it was traumatic, and he already had the trip booked, and he just decided to go through it. And I remember being, and I was a little scared because I was like, bro, you're like mentally right now.
I was bad mentally. I was not right. Well, for one, the suicidal thoughts.
Yeah.
Bro, when I landed in Colombia, I hadn't slept in 36 hours.
Yeah.
I hadn't been eating right, and I was having panic attacks. So,
because I remember the first night. Remember you had the first night there, and you did your first ceremony, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I think you called me the second day. Before the second ceremony started.
Right.
And I remember him calling me, and he was like shaking, bro. Like he was scared. He was crying. He was like, "This is the most." He's like, this is the most fear I've ever felt in my life.
The first time you went out there?
Do what?
It was just the first experience because I think.
No. I'm saying how long ago was it?
Oh, this was not that long ago.
2.5 years ago. In 2022, August of 2022.
Yeah,
July of 2022.
So it was fairly recent. So like, did you like meet somebody that you?
No, he searched it.
Yeah,
because he was talking to me before he booked that trip. He was talking to me because I had met a witch at 54th Street in Lee Summit at a bar. Literally was just sitting there eating by myself. I met this chick. She's a witch. She told me that she, knew people that could do DMT trips and all this and that. And somehow Dennis was already getting into that kind of stuff, and I ended up linking them. But she was extremely expensive, and it wasn't original. It was like, it wasn't in Peru. It was, you know what I'm saying? It was weird. And she was a witch, so that was another weird thing. And then,
so like where you went out there? I mean, is it like a facility or is it like, or you have to know somebody to?
To tell you the truth, bro, sometimes with this whole experience, I feel like I was being guided. Because in my desperation of healing and getting better, I was exploring, plants, but I wasn't exploring psychedelic plants. I was like making teas and doing this and like modifying my diet and doing a lot of different stuff that I can do within, because the traditional Western medicine wasn't doing it. Like they had me on 5 different medications at some point, anxiety, antidepressants, acid reflux, asthma. I was like 5 different medications. So
did you have to pay them for all that?
Obviously.
So around how much was that to like?
I had to pay for the flight, and then that deal itself was $495.
Yeah.
And the flight was like $654. So, but that was at the time, and I just so the way it all kind of happened was that.
But I'm saying, is it like a package that it look like here, they charge this fee, then
it was $495 flat at the time. Obviously, it's probably a lot more expensive now because now it's more of a resort. But at the time, it was not that. It was more like it was in the early stages, and so they had it's up in the mountain. And
how long were you there though?
I was there 7 days. 5 ceremonies, 7 days.
So it was like around 500. It was 7 days.
It was 7 day stay. Now it wasn't like no luxurious stay or anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a mattress, and you're out there in the mountain, and you're basically get 2 meals a day. All like fruits and vegetables. It's all, and you're basically there just to do the work.
So what like as far as food, what do they give you? Like how
Bro,
was
we
it?
were eating guayabas. We were eating like oranges, potatoes. I mean, it was like
It wasn't cooked. It was like raw food.
It was raw foods. It was just nothing but
No
there
meat?
was no meat. It was just
Raw
all
foods.
fruits and vegetables. That's it. Yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah, and teas, and that was that, man. And
What kind of tea?
Heck, I don't even remember what kind of tea we had, but it was way up. It was way up there, and I remember there was this like river that run by that place, and man, it was some of the most beautiful scenery I've ever seen, man. It was
So when you go in, when the DMT kicks in, does your reality vanish?
I think your mind recognizes that is like a psychedelic experience, but at some point, like it just the lines become blurry, where now all of a sudden you're not just seeing shapes and sounds, but now you're starting to see experiences. For me, it started showing up like I started seeing like faces, the faces of the people, of all the people I ever loved, and then I started feeling.
Was it people you love that are alive or people that are gone?
Both. It was both.
You know what I was? You know what's crazy?
I mean, was it physical or?
No, it was their face. I mean, I could see him. I could see their faces like I'm seeing yours right now.
So it was kind of like you know how when we go to sleep when we dream.
Mm-hmm.
Is that how kind of like it feels? So it
Sort of like, yeah.
it kind of felt like you went
Like
to
a dream
sleep.
state. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of felt like you were in a dream
And
state.
a dream state, but you're conscious. That's the thing about it. Like
so whenever you woke up, you kind of felt like you were just asleep.
No, hell no, because I felt everything, and like I like along with the faces came feelings. So like I felt everything I once made her felt. Like so, I felt my mom's worry. I felt my daughter's disappointment in me. I felt my great grandma's depression. I felt everything I once made people feel, and I didn't understand why I was seeing that. Because it was so painful because I felt it all at once. It like brought me to brought me to my knees in a fetal position.
They say that's how that's how Jesus, or not Jesus, but that's how God feels. And they say that if we were to be able to feel everything that God can feel, we wouldn't be able to bear it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's crazy. It's crazy that you have that experience and you got a taste of.
Like
Bro.
Whenever you're in your mom's womb, like you have consciousness there, but you don't remember it. You know what I mean? Like it kind of takes you back to that.
There's another thing I also watched. I was watching the podcast. I think I sent it to you. It was What Happens Before You Die.
No, I haven't seen it.
They were talking. This guy has been studying all these cases of people having near death experiences, all different forms of religions, and from people that can see, people that can't see, who were born blind and have never seen anything. They all mention that when they're dying, the majority of people experience a welcoming committee, and it's usually people that have passed that comes and welcomes them. Wow. And they all mention that they're all in their prime. They see them like when they were at their best, and these people come and welcome them. You know what I'm saying? And so when you mention the face thing and stuff like that, like it's just crazy how you're able to tap into that. And it's just wild. Like the guy that was interviewing the Sean, I can't remember that podcast, but he was talking about psychedelics being the forbidden fruit. He was asking a priest, I think he was asking him if he thought that was a forbidden fruit. He's like, because I feel like I've gained a lot of positives from it. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people say that because of the knowledge that you feel like you gain from it.
You know what's crazy? That now that I'm thinking about it, like the cows, you know, like, you know, the psilocybin mushrooms, you know, they used to grow out of the
cow shit.
The cow shit, you know. But now they're feeding the cows a different diet so that
they don't produce it.
Yeah, so they don't produce it no more.
Shoot, I've seen them in Mexico naturally, like this big.
Yeah,
big. Bro.
I saw them in San Jose del Pacifico over in Oaxaca. That's where they originated from.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But now, like what they're feeding the cows now, they're feeding them a different diet to where they don't produce that no more.
Wow, man. Yeah. That's crazy. They're trying to regulate it.
So, how long have we been in, man? Because like
we've been here for a minute.
In it.
I think
we gotta start heading out.
Yeah, but
man.
Look,
no, this has been good, man. I'm glad we did it. We should do it sometime again. You know, like we could do it anytime. So like, and we obviously got a lot to talk about, and you know, I'm glad that people were able to hear like a different side of you, because like you know, you're always like come across like funny, but like today we heard some heartfelt shit. So I appreciate you opening up. You know what I'm saying? Rick, man, thank you always, you know what I'm saying, for providing the space, bro, and you know, for just involving us and what you know, in this initiative, you know. And like I've always been a big supporter of yours, you know, and any kind of you know, project, and I'm just glad to be here, bro, sharing these moments and these conversations with y'all. So thank you.
And I just want to say I appreciate you guys for taking it serious, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And because when you guys take it serious, when you guys make that drive, that 30-40 minute drive to be down here to have a conversation that we don't even know what conversation we're gonna have. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But the fact that you guys do that for the podcast means a lot to me. It makes me want to keep trying. It makes me want to keep going. So I appreciate you guys for doing that.
For sure.
You know? It's just as long as we stick with it, as long as we keep going, as long as we keep trying, something's gonna happen, man.
No, yeah, for sure. Because I feel like sometimes I fall short, and then you know, Johnny comes through with some guests, and then he goes silent, and then I come through with some guests, and we just kind of bounce back and forth like that. And so, like, you know, I mean, it's a good, it's got good diversity, you know, like, and so like it's good. You get humor here, you get some real shit here, you get all kinds of stuff here. So
what's a closing question? What do you guys want to see in the future, or what do you guys want to do in the future with this platform?
Man, I want to continue to bring guests that can add value to the platform, man, and I'm looking forward to the next one, because you know, them boys from Interrupt KC gonna come through here and bless the space. Shout out to Interrupt KC, and just, you know, doing collaborations with people and just creating more value, bro, out of just, you know, out of those connections, you know what I'm saying? And that's really what, you know, I'm hoping for, is just to connect with the guest and the audience, and you know, hope that this lands for somebody and that it can help people in some way, you know, that hopefully the stories that are shared, the wisdom and humor that is you know, coming through the cameras, you know, that people can either have a laugh or have a realization, or simply just be, you know, entertained in a positive way, man.
Yeah. What about you, John?
I just want y'all to come enjoy this journey of life with us, man. You know?
Yeah.
See us, like, you know, just be humans, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, bring something that everybody can relate to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
She's bringing something everyone can relate to.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. La mascota.
Yeah. We're going to have to incorporate her in the podcast, man.
La Rubiana.
She's been...
we got to drop this on a Wednesday.
Look, I'm splashing down. Like,
that's full melting into the fucking...
melting into the couch, like.
Yeah.
All right. Subscribe, like,
follow, comment.
Don't be a sucker all your life, man. Just watch. You know?
Yes, sir.
Come on, man.
Hey,
take some ayahuasca, man. Come on, man.
Take some
Enlighten your
ayahuasca.
life.
And
Enlighten your life, primo.
for anybody out there that wants to sponsor us, hit us up, man. We got open slots.
Any shamans out there that want to sponsor a little ceremony?
Hey, I actually have a shaman that wants to come through the podcast.
Bring
And
them up.
Let's do it. We'll do it on the pod.
let's do it.
We need one more
I don't
night.
think we could do it on the pod. That would not be a good idea.
Well,
it's not that kind of party.
We would cry. Turn it on. It'd be weird. That would add whole nother layer to it.
It'd be too crazy.
Cause I don't like. I remember I went with Abnorm to First Fridays and I was on some shrooms, bro, and I didn't like being in front of the camera. It was weird. It was like I was looking at alien technology. I was like, ugh. It was just weird. Yeah. All right, man. Thank you guys for watching the show. Dennis, Johnny Chingas, Ozone Lair Media. Subscribe.
Signing out.
So peace out.
Deuces.
Bust a nut.